Chapter 940. After Chu Kuangren had subdued the sword crown and obtained the 1,000 lotus sword intent, he did not immediately leave ancient Sparrow City. Instead, he found a place to stay. And that place was the city governor's mansion. Everyone in ancient Sparrow City was dumbfounded. After killing the city lord, he didn't leave immediately. Instead, he stayed in the city lord's mansion. What was going on? Hadn't they provoked the holy city enough? Arrogant. Simply too arrogant. After killing the city lord, you didn't leave immediately and even dared to stay in the city lord's residence. Aren't you afraid of the holy city's law enforcers coming? He's too arrogant. This guy is way too arrogant. Chu Kuangren did not care about the commotion outside the city hall. At this time, he was in closed-door cultivation in the city hall. There were two reasons for this seclusion. The first was to refine the resources from the heavenly fire grotto heaven. The second was to comprehend immortal techniques. In the Bai clan, he obtained a few more immortal spells from the city lord's mansion. Apart from that, there was also the immortal spell created by Sword Crown himself, the 1,000 Lotus Sword Will. About 10 days later, Chu Kuangren had refined most of the treasures he obtained in the Sky Fire Grotto, and his cultivation level had also risen to the Heavenly Tao Master Realm. Next, it was time to comprehend the various immortal techniques. Chu Kuangren had already gained insight into many immortal techniques, and he had even created 2 of them himself. It could be said that he was very familiar with gaining insight into immortal techniques. Now, he was not comprehending celestial techniques to use them. Instead, it was for the sake of comprehending the power of origin from the celestial art. However, perhaps the grade of the celestial art he had obtained from the City Lord Manor and the Bai clan was not high enough for him to successfully comprehend its origin. He set his sights on the last one, the 1,000 Lotus Sword Will. Sword Crown's self-created immortal magic is far more powerful than the Bai clans and the City Lord's mansions. According to the legends, immortal magic corresponds to immortal magic, and is divided into general immortal magic, earth immortal magic, heaven immortal magic, true immortal magic. Most of the techniques I've studied in the past were common immortal techniques. However, this 1,000 Lotus Sword essence is most likely at the level of earthly immortal techniques. Earth immortal, the second stage of the immortal Tao. Are there many in the Qinglan immortal world? Chu Kuangren mumbled as if he was deep in thought. But after thinking about it for a while, he no longer paid attention to this question, and wholeheartedly began to comprehend the 1,000 Lotus Sword Will in his hand. This immortal technique was a Sword Tao immortal technique that was even more powerful than the Honorable Emperor Sword art that Chu Kuangren currently possessed. Not only that, but the Venerable Emperor Sword technique was not a complete Sword Tao technique. As for the 1,000 Lotus Sword intent, it was an incomparably pure Sword Tao immortal technique. Chu Kuangren combined this immortal technique with the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart that he possessed. Soon enough, he was able to comprehend the 8th origin, the origin of swords. In the City Lord's mansion, Sword Crown and the little fox stayed in the same courtyard. Jian Guan held a bottle of wine in his hand and drank it mouthful by mouthful. On the other side, the little fox was playing with the flowers and plants out of boredom. "Boss, why aren't you out yet?" The little fox yawned. She had already refined the remnant immortal pill and had broken through to the Tao Lord level. "Even though I can't use my cultivation base, I still have my senses. I can sense that young master's aura is constantly growing stronger. 2 days ago, I even sensed the ripples of immortal arts. Young master must be comprehending immortal arts," Jian Guan said with a faint smile. Moreover, it was his 1,000 Lotus Sword intent. How much longer will it take for him to come out? It'll take at least a few years. After all, my 1,000 Lotus Sword intent isn't that easy to comprehend, Sword Crown said. He did not deny Chu Kuangren's talent, but he was also very confident in his 1,000 Lotus Sword intent. In the Green Orchid Immortal Realm, his 1,000 Lotus Sword intent was definitely one of the best defensive immortal techniques. "Oh, this is bad." Suddenly, Jian Guan's expression changed. He looked into the distance and sensed several extremely powerful auras approaching the City Lord's residence. Moreover, they seemed to be hostile toward him. Are the Sage City enforcers here? Jian Guan said solemnly. Not only Jian Guan, but the other strong cultivators in the ancient Sparrow City had also sensed the sudden arrival of these powerful auras. Everyone looked at the streaks of light in the sky and discussed among themselves. What a terrifying aura! It's the Sage City enforcers. They're heading towards the City Lord's residence. As expected, they're targeting Chu Kuangren. Inside the City Lord's residence, Jian Guan and the little fox were on standby. Little fox, it's better for you to find a place to hide. You can't deal with the people who are coming. Jian Guan said calmly. Aren't you a cripple? Can you handle them? Jian Guan's mouth twitched. Although the little fox was telling the truth, it was still hurtful to be so direct. Anyway, I have a way to delay them. Jian Guan said calmly. Not long after, several streaks of light arrived above the City Lord's residence. There were 3 people in total, and each of them was wearing golden armor with an overbearing aura. Each of them was a hollow immortal. These 3 people were the Sage City enforcers. According to our intel, the outsider who killed the ancient Sparrow City Lord is now staying in the City Lord's residence. How arrogant. This is the first time we've seen such a bold outsider. That's right. The 3 hollow immortals said coldly. Suddenly, they saw Jian Guan and the little fox in the courtyard. Oh, I didn't expect there to be others in the City Lord's residence. Are they with that outsider? Let's take care of them together. One of the enforcers said, deciding the fate of Jian Guan and the little fox. At that moment, a chuckle was heard. Jian Guan was holding a flask of wine as he said, the Sage City enforcers, how impressive. For you. One of the enforcers asked in surprise when he saw that Jian Guan was not afraid of them. An old man next to him stared at Jian Guan for a while. Then, as if he remembered something, his eyes narrowed. He quickly landed on the ground and said respectfully, I didn't know that Jian Guan was here. Please forgive us for our rudeness. The other 2 enforcers sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard that. Sword Guan. It was Sword Guan, one of the 7 crowns of the Green Orchid Immortal Realm. The crowd could not help but be shocked. Legend had it that Sword Guan had disappeared for many years. Why would he suddenly appear here? I'll protect the person you want to kill. You may leave. Jian Guan said calmly. The enforcers looked at each other, hesitating. Master Jian Guan can protect this person, but I heard that your 1,000 lotus sword intent is unparalleled. I am also a sword cultivator and have been fascinated by it for a long time. I hope you can teach me a thing or two. The old man who recognized Jian Guan's eyes flashed. He took out a sword and slashed at Jian Guan. The sword chi was like a flood as it slashed at Jian Guan. Suddenly, Jian Guan was pushed back and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The other 2 enforcers were shocked. This is Sword Guan? Fake. The old man revealed a smile. I once heard from the City Lord that Lord Sword Crown had fought with Dao Crown many years ago and suffered heavy injuries. He had long since become a cripple. It seems that it is indeed so. If it wasn't for Dao Guan's trick, I wouldn't have lost to him. Jian Guan harumphed coldly. When he mentioned Dao Guan, his eyes revealed a complicated expression. There was hatred and nostalgia. It was as if thinking of Dao Guan reminded him of someone else. Chapter 941. The winner takes all. No matter what you say now, it won't change the fact that you've lost to Sword Crown. I didn't expect to get such an unexpected reward from killing outsiders this time. Killing Sword Crown, I wouldn't even have dared to dream of this in the past. The elderly enforcer grinned. If I was at my peak, I could kill 1,000 of you with a single swing of my sword. Sword Crown scoffed. He felt a little aggrieved. To think that he, the mighty Sword Crown, was once a peerless genius who could slay 1,000 dragons with a single swing of his sword, destroy hundreds of cities, and stand at the peak of swordsmanship. Yet now, he was humiliated by a few enforcers who were not even immortals. Ha, Sword Crown, give me your life. The elderly enforcer laughed and was about to make his move. However, at that moment, not far away, inside a house, a cold surge of sword pressure exploded and turned into a horrifying purple sword shadow that hung in the air. The horrifying sword pressure made the enforcers' pupils dilate as they stared at the house under the sword shadow. "Whose life do you want?" An indifferent voice was heard. The sword shadow dissipated. With a creak, the house door opened. A figure dressed in a white, wide-sleeved robe walked out. His white robe was peerless, and his face was handsome. His every movement had a sense of transcendence. He walked out step by step, and with every step he took, a purple lotus formed from pure sword chi bloomed beneath his feet. Lotus blooming with every step. This shocked many cultivators who were paying attention to the city hall. Lotus blooming with sword chi? Could this be the 1,000 lotus sword intent? Sword Crown's famous ultimate technique? Could this person be Sword Crown's inheritor? It's possible. Otherwise, why would Sword Crown protect him? Everyone was shocked. Sword Crown himself was even more shocked. He was the one who created the 1,000 lotus sword intent, and he was the one who gave it to Chu Kuangren. However, in his opinion, Chu Kuangren would need at least 10 years to master this immortal technique, and 100 years to master it completely. However, he could see that Chu Kuangren's mastery of the 1,000 lotus sword intent was already complete. Disregarding cultivation level, Chu Kuangren was no weaker than him. It had only been a few days. This learning ability, this comprehension, it's too freakish. Was he still human? "Whose life did you guys want?" Chu Kuangren asked again. "I want your life." The elderly enforcer snorted coldly. Then, his figure flashed as he charged towards Chu Kuangren. With a slash of his long sword, a razor-sharp sword ray whizzed out. Chu Kuangren's gaze was calm as he slowly raised his hand. Then, the monarch chi in his body surged out and turned into a purple sword light. Wherever the sword light passed, purple lotuses bloomed. 1,000 lotus sword will. Bang! The two sword lights collided. In the end, the 1,000 lotus sword will was like a hot knife through butter. The old man's sword light was torn apart like a thin piece of paper, and the sword light of the 1,000 lotus sword intent landed on his body, tearing him into two halves. A single sword strike killed a void immortal. When the other two enforcers saw this, their pupils shrank. How could this be? This person's strength is even greater than the intelligence reports. It wasn't just the enforcers. The rest of the cultivators in the ancient Sparrow City were also dumbfounded. How many days had it been? This guy actually improved again. And the improvement was not just a little bit. This fellow was too terrifying. Even if it's an immortal seed king, it's still too scary. Some of the cultivators could not help but swallow their saliva. Jian Guan was also speechless. Although he could no longer use his cultivation, his senses were still there. He could sense the origin energy from Chu Kuangren's 1,000 lotus sword will. In just a few days, not only has he fully mastered the 1,000 lotus sword will, but he has also mastered the sword origin energy. Master's level of comprehension is so terrifying. Jian Guan could not help but exclaim, "Let's go!" The other two void immortal enforcers knew that they were no match for Chu Kuangren, so they immediately gave up on the idea of fighting him and tried to escape. However, before they could take a few steps, purple lotuses appeared in the void, and the terrifying sword will had locked onto them. "Where do you think you're going? The only path you can take is death." Chu Kuangren's cold voice rang. The purple lotuses that were floating in the air suddenly shot towards the two void immortals. Each lotus was a terrifying sword chi. Not long after, the two void immortals were completely killed by the sword chi, killing void immortals with just a wave of his hand. Such combat strength made everyone at the scene speechless. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and took the yin and yang rings of the void immortals. With his emperor's thought, he found quite a lot of spiritual marrows inside. There were also a few immortal crystals. Are the sacred city enforcers this poor? Is the sacred city unable to pay their salaries? Chu Kuangren curled his lips in disdain. Beside him, Jian Guan's mouth twitched. Are the enforcers poor? Those yin and yang rings have billions of spiritual marrows. How poor can they be? One could only say that Chu Kuangren was too rich now. He had obtained more than half of the treasures in the Sky Fire Grotto, the City Hall, and the Bai family's wealth. Coupled with the battle at the Purple Star planet, he had gained a lot more. Although most of it was used to develop the firmament star, his current net worth was not even comparable to that of an immortal. Alright, I'm tired of this ancient sparrow city. It's time to leave, Chu Kuangren said. However, although he had left, the commotion he caused did not stop. His name began to spread throughout the Green Orchid Immortal realm. After all, every celestial seed king was the center of attention. Not to mention a foreign celestial seed king. Moreover, Chu Kuangren had offended the Church of Divine Flame and the Sacred City's two major forces in such a short period of time. He even killed a false immortal. It was hard for the forces in the immortal realm not to notice him. A foreign celestial seed king has caused such a huge commotion. This guy is too reckless. He won't live long. Maybe this guy should find an immortal orthodoxy to join. I heard that this guy has mastered the 1,000 Lotus Sword intent. Jian Guan has also appeared beside this guy before. What's the relationship between them? No matter what, this guy is worth paying attention to. Just as Chu Kuangren's name began to spread throughout the Green Orchid Immortal Realm, another big event happened. Green Orchid Immortal Realm. In an ordinary mountain range somewhere. On that day, a large amount of gray mist suddenly gushed out from the depths of the mountain range. It did not take long for it to spread tens of thousands of kilometers. The place that was shrouded by the mist was a horrifying scene of destruction. Broken weapons, scattered bones, and the howling of the wind seemed to be mixed with the howling of vengeful spirits. It was like a place where immortals and gods had fallen. The moment this strange place appeared, all the great ones in the Green Orchid Immortal Realm sensed it and looked into the distance. It's the Celestial Ancient Battlefield. F***CK. The Celestial Ancient Battlefield has appeared. I'm afraid the orthodoxies in the Green Orchid Immortal Realm won't be able to sit still anymore. I'm afraid the immortals will make a move too. The Celestial Ancient War caused the ancient and complete immortal realm to shatter. Now that a corner of the battlefield has appeared, it must contain great opportunities. No one will not be tempted. If it's possible, we might even be able to find the cause of the Celestial Ancient War and come into contact with the most ancient secrets of the immortal realm. The appearance of the Celestial Ancient Battlefield made the entire Green Orchid Immortal Realm restless. All of the immortal orthodoxies began to make their moves. Cultivators from all over were also rushing to the Celestial Ancient Battlefield. Chapter 942. The appearance of the immortal ancient battlefield caused the various orthodoxies to take action. Immortal World, Divine Flame Cult. In one of the grotto heavens, 3 different colored flames suddenly roared out. There was a scarlet flame, an azure flame, and a black flame. Each type of flame represented a divine flame on the divine flame list. The entire divine flame Ming cult was shocked. It's the scarlet blood divine flame, heavenly sea crystal flame, and netherworld flame. It's Sir Godchild. Sir Godchild has come out of seclusion. Sir Divine Child has finally come out of seclusion after 10 years. All the followers of the divine flame Ming cult who saw this scene were overjoyed. They looked at the source of the flames with fervent gazes. In the divine flame Ming cult, there was only one person who possessed 3 types of divine fire on the divine fire list at the same time. That was the number 1 godchild of the divine fire Ming cult, Huoshenhuang. He was also one of the kings of celestial seeds in the Qinlan immortal world. Within the flame heavenly grotto, an imposing male walked out. Divine flames surrounded him, his aura powerful, stirring up the spiritual essence of heaven and earth. His eyes were like torches as he stared into the distance. This strange aura, is it the legendary ancient battlefield, the immortal ancient battlefield? Interesting. A strange look appeared in his eyes. In a mysterious place filled with giant parasol trees, several figures shrouded in golden red flames were conversing. These figures had a pair of gorgeous wings and didn't seem to be human cultivators. The immortal ancient battlefield has appeared. What do you guys think? Even a place like this has appeared. It looks like we can't hide from the world anymore. Let's let the Phoenix and Phoenix Maidens gain some experience. That's good too. As for the new Phoenix Maiden, her body contains the pure bloodline of the divine Phoenix and is in the process of awakening. Let's not disturb her for now. Also, I heard that there's an outsider in the outside world who can use the Phoenix Flame. We must investigate this matter and have Feng Zi make contact with him. If this person is harmful to our Phoenix clan, kill him on the spot. Understood. Not long after, the gorgeous Godly Phoenix and Godly Phoenix flew out of Wutong Abyss. On an island in the immortal world ocean. There were also dragon roars echoing. Then, the two mighty divine dragons soared into the clouds and left the island. On this day, the phoenix rises from the parasol tree. Divine dragon rises from the sea. This meant that a divine beast had entered the world. In a certain grand city, a youth wearing silver armor and holding a long spear revealed a bright light in his eyes. The appearance of the immortal ancient battlefield means that the immortal seeds have all been gathered. Perhaps I can find an opponent for my blood drinker spear. The blood-red spear in the young man's hand trembled slightly, and a boundless ferocious aura immediately gushed out of it. Wu Ji, even though you've obtained Master's true inheritance, you must know that there are always people better than you. You cannot be arrogant and complacent. Beside the silver-armored man, a man stood with his hands behind his back. His body was suffused with immortal radiance, and his aura was extraordinary. This person was the master of the holy city, one of the 7 crowns, Spear Crown. Yes, master, said the youth indifferently. However, there was a trace of indifference in his eyes. That's right, I've heard that the ancient Sparrow City Lord under the holy city was killed by a foreign prodigy. Is this true? Yes, it's true. That's good. I hope I can meet this person in the immortal ancient battlefield. I will take his head and raise the prestige of my holy city. In the current Qing Lan immortal world, there is a saying that there are 12 kings among the younger generation. It refers to the 12 kings with immortal seeds. In an empty mountain range, Chu Kuangren held the green heavenly scroll in his left hand, and according to the heavenly scroll's instructions, he condensed water qi into needles to heal Spear Crown's injuries. Meanwhile, Spear Crown was talking about some things in the Qing Lan immortal world. Among them are the divine flame Ming cult's Huashen Huang, the holy city lord's direct disciple Wu Ji, the sword burial sea's young master, the Saber King. When mentioning the sword burial sea, a cold glint flashed across Spear Crown's eyes. Chu Kuangren frowned. Heal your injuries and calm your mind. Yes, master. Spear Crown nodded and gradually calmed down. Sword burial sea? It sounds like a swordsmanship force. Why is this young master called the Saber King? Chu Kuangren asked curiously. Master, you may not know this, but the cultivators of the sword burial sea are not sword cultivators, but saber cultivators. They bury their swords with their sabers. Their goal in cultivation is to prove that the saber is superior to the sword. And the sword burial sea's master is the most powerful cultivator in the sword Dao of the Qing Lan immortal world, the immortal level. Spear Crown. Chu Kuangren shook his head and said, most weapons in this world are created to hurt and kill people. There's no difference in their nature, and there's no difference between them. The sword burial sea's goal in cultivation is extremely boring. Master, you're right. The 12 kings of the immortal realm. Are there only 12 celestial seed kings in this immortal realm? Chu Kuangren asked again. It's more than that. The 12 kings are just the 12 famous celestial seed kings. There are more or less some celestial seed kings hidden by the various orthodoxies. For example, the Wutong Mountain and the Dragon God Island, which are the divine beast clans, they definitely have more than one celestial seed king. Oh, there are divine beast clans in the Qing Lan immortal realm. Although they are divine beasts, rumor has it that their divine beast bloodline is only considered thin. Even so, they are still divine beasts and should not be underestimated. They can be said to be one of the most powerful forces in the Qing Lan immortal realm, Spear Crown said. Are there any celestial seed kings among the outsiders? Chu Kuangren's expression changed as he asked. There used to be, but outsiders are suppressed by the natives, so it's difficult for them to develop. Most of them rely on the various orthodoxies, But because of their identity as outsiders, they are more or less ostracized. Among the 12 kings, only Duguyu is an outsider, and he is now attached to the spirit's sovereign mountain. Spear Crown thought for a while and said, "This is all information from a few years ago. Recently, the Qinglan immortal realm has been manifesting in the outside world, and another batch of outsiders has entered. Among these outsiders, besides Master, I'm not sure if there are any new celestial seed kings." Understood. Chu Kuangren retracted the water qi in Spear Crown's body. It seems that the immortal ancient battlefield's appearance will be more interesting than the Heaven Fire Paradise. Beside him, Spear Crown sensed the injuries in his body. Compared to before, it was much better. Now that he could use some of his strength, it made him even more loyal to Chu Kuangren. After a few more treatments, the injuries in your body should be more or less healed. Chu Kuangren glanced at him and said, "Thank you, Master." Boss, I found a seal in front of us. Could there be some treasures inside?" At that moment, Little Fox ran over and said. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. "Let's go take a look." Little Fox led Chu Kuangren and Spear Crown to the front of a cave. The cave looked ordinary, but it was densely packed with powerful seals. Once they entered, they would be violently attacked. "This seal isn't natural. It's man-made, and there's someone in this cave." No, this aura, it's a demon. His aura is messy, and it looks like he's injured. "Forget it, this has nothing to do with us. Let's leave," Chu Kuangren said. Just as they were about to leave, a few golden rays of light came from afar and landed around the cave. A wave of overbearing killing intent instantly enveloped Chu Kuangren, Little Fox, and Spear Crown. Chapter 943. The golden stream of light arrived above Chu Kuangren and the others. Each of them was wearing standard armor and a cloak with a golden three-legged bird embroidered on it. It was a majestic sight. Seeing these people, Sword Crown's expression changed slightly. "These are the Honorable Demon Court's Golden Crow Guards." "The Honorable Demon Court's Golden Crow Guards?" Chu Kuangren frowned. Over the past few days, he had gained some understanding of the distribution of forces in the Qinglan immortal realm. He had heard of the Honorable Demon Court before. It was one of the top orthodoxies of the demon race. It could even be said that it was the strongest force of the demon race other than Mount Wutong and the Dragon God Island. That's right, the Honorable Demon Court's Golden Crow Guards. This is the most important force of the Demon Court. Rumor has it that they only listen to the Demon Court Lord and a few Demon Court princes. As for the other demon races, they can't order them around. Swordlight's gaze was serious. In other words, the appearance of the Honorable Demon Court's Golden Crow Guards meant that they were related to the Demon Court's royal family. Interesting. The Honorable Demon Court's Golden Crow Guards are here to capture a demon. Is there something special about this demon race? Chu Kuangren had a strange look in his eyes. At that moment, the Golden Crow Guards had also noticed Chu Kuangren and the others. Humans? That demon's aura disappeared here. It should be hiding in this cave, but how many humans are here? One of the Golden Crow Guards frowned. This demon is very important. We can't let others know about it. Let's kill these people as well. All right, judging from the aura, that young man is a heavenly Dao master. As for the young demon and the old man, there's nothing to be afraid of. The Golden Crow Guards exchanged a few words. Their domineering aura shrouded the surroundings, not giving Chu Kuangren and the others any chance to escape. Their words had already determined the fate of Chu Kuangren and the others. Humans, it's your bad luck to appear here. That one of the Golden Crow Guards suddenly attacked. With a grab, a powerful demonic qi erupted and turned into a giant golden hand that pressed towards Chu Kuangren and the others. Presumptuous. Chu Kuangren let out a cold grunt and unleashed a punch. His physical strength and Emperor's qi exploded at the same time, forcibly shattering the golden hand. Boundless force swept out and landed on the body of the Golden Crow Guard, shattering the armor on his body and causing him to vomit blood. What? His strength is definitely not that of an ordinary lord of the heavenly law. Furthermore, he isn't that old either. Could he be a king of celestial seeds? Not good, I was too careless. The expressions of the Golden Crow guards suddenly changed. Attack together. The leader of the Golden Crow guards let out an enraged roar and transformed into a giant black eagle that flew towards Chu Kuangren. The eagle's claw swiped down as if it wanted to tear apart the void and destroy the stars. Courting death. Chu Kuangren's expression turned cold. He didn't want to interfere in the matters of the demon court, but the demon court was too overbearing. Just because they passed by, they took their lives. Then all he could do was kill for kill. Faced with the incoming eagle, Chu Kuangren raised his arm and unleashed a punch. His physical strength and Emperor's chi exploded at the same time, shattering the eagle's claw. The powerful force almost destroyed half of the eagle's body. The other Golden Crow guards also rushed towards Chu Kuangren. All kinds of immortal techniques were unleashed. Chu Kuangren stood still like a mountain. With a lift of his arm, a golden red phoenix flame turned into waves of fire and spread out. Amidst the explosion, the Golden Crow guards were sent flying by the waves of fire. Phoenix flame, it's the Phoenix flame. How can this guy master the Phoenix flame? Is he a divine beast? No, this aura clearly belongs to a human. The Golden Crow guards stared at Chu Kuangren in shock. However, one of them seemed to be deep in thought. I heard that a human who mastered the Phoenix flame recently appeared. His name is Chu Kuangren, and he even killed a few Sage City enforcers. It seems like that person is you. Oh, it seems like your reputation has spread to the demon court. Chu Kuangren smirked. The Golden Crow guard snorted at his words. You may be a celestial seed king, but you're still an outsider. You've already offended the Sage City. Do you still want to go against the demon court? Why not? Chu Kuangren did not seem to care. Presumptuous outsider. The few Golden Crow guards then transformed into their true demonic forms. Without exception, they were all powerful flying beasts. There were eagles, falcons, and rocks. Chu Kuangren laughed. What's wrong? Do I have to have wings to become a Golden Crow guard? If that's the case, you guys shouldn't be called Golden Crow guards anymore. Let's change your name to bird guards. You're courting death. The Golden Crow guards were furious, and their demonic chi instantly enveloped the entire area. Forget it, I'm not going to play with you guys anymore. Chu Kuangren shook his head. An extremely powerful Emperor's chi and mind power circulated around his body before it turned into a purplish-red light wave that spread out. With a single thought, the heavens and earth perished. In an instant, the Golden Crow guards were reduced to dust in fear. I was too careless. I should have kept a few for grilling chicken wings. Chu Kuangren said with some regret. Beside him, the little fox shrunk her neck. This boss is so cruel. Beside her, Jingguan was a little worried. His master had already offended the Sage City, and now he had offended the honorable demon court. Right? There's also the Divine Flame School of Light. Besides, now that he's involved with me, the buried sword sea will not let him off easily. At that thought, Jingguan could not help but feel a headache coming on. An outsider had offended so many immortal orthodoxies. He was probably the most arrogant outsider in the history of the Green Orchid Immortal Realm. This won't do. I need to recover my strength as soon as possible. Only Jingguan at his peak can protect my master. Jingguan secretly made up his mind. This time, he was not just doing it for himself. There was also Chu Kuangren. You've been watching from the side for so long. It's about time you come out. Chu Kuangren said. Then, a beautiful figure slowly walked out of the cave. It was a woman dressed in a green dress. She had a curvaceous figure, waist-length black hair, creamy skin, and exquisite facial features. This woman's eyes, in particular, were the color of colored glass, like a pair of jade, crystal clear, and there was a tear-shaped mole under her eyebrows. Not only did it not destroy the overall beauty, but it also added a touch of charm to her. She was very beautiful. However, Chu Kuangren was not moved at all. The spirit of omniscience was activated, and with a glance, he began to analyze. Oh, a mutated green luan? Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. According to rumors, the green luan was a mutated phoenix that was very rare. Just like the Moonlight Fox was a mutated divine beast, the nine-tailed celestial fox, and it had extraordinary divine abilities. The Green Luan's divine ability was called the Eye of the Green Luan. This divine ability could see through illusions and see real things. It could even see a person's past and future, which was very powerful. The Green Luan was shocked. She did not expect Chu Kuangren to see through her true form with just a glance. She was also using her divine ability to look at Chu Kuangren. It did not matter if she did not look. But when she looked, it was like she was struck by lightning. Nothingness. Nothingness in front of her. Nothingness in life, nothingness in the past, nothingness in the future. Even now, it was also nothingness. It was as if the person in front of her had transcended everything. He did not exist in the 3,000 realms, and he did not enter the great Taoist cycle. Chapter 944. The Blue Phoenix was stunned. The life matrix was nothing. Transcending everything, not in the 3,000 realms, not entering the reincarnation cycle? What kind of existence was this? Even the immortal's life matrix could not be like this. What was the origin of this human in front of her? The Blue Phoenix was completely stunned. Have you seen enough? What did you see? Chu Kuangren asked curiously. I am sorry for offending you. The Blue Phoenix quickly lowered her head and said in fear and trepidation. She was 100% sure that the man in front of her must not be provoked. This was definitely one of the taboos in this world. The Blue Phoenix was born with divine powers that could sense the Tao of the universe and know that there were some extremely terrifying taboos in this world. Those existences, even the strongest immortals would be incomparably afraid. Obviously, the existence of the life matrix in front of her was that kind of taboo existence. Even if it was not now, it was likely to become a taboo in the future. She was already secretly thinking about something in her heart. I say, should I kill you? At this time, Chu Kuangren's voice rang in her ears. Hearing this, the Blue Phoenix's pupils suddenly shrank, and a trace of fear appeared in her jade-like eyes. Kill her? Master, I don't know what I did wrong. Look, I just killed a few Golden Crow guards of the Supreme Demon Court. You witnessed everything. Should I kill you to silence you? Chu Kuangren's eyes were filled with killing intent. It seemed that he was really considering killing the Blue Phoenix. Master, please rest assured that I will keep this a secret. Moreover, I have a grudge against the Honorable Demon Court, so it is impossible for me to go to them. The Blue Phoenix said quickly. Oh, so you have a grudge against them. That's even better. I'll capture you and send you to the Honorable Demon Court. I don't know if they will forgive me for my offense. Chu Kuangren seemed to be pondering. Beside him, Jianguan rolled his eyes. With Chu Kuangren's personality, would he apologize to the Demon Court? He did not believe that Jianguan would be killed anyway. There was only one purpose for Chu Kuangren to say these words. He was deceiving the Blue Phoenix and wanted to get some information from the other party. For example, why the Honorable Demon Court would send the Golden Crow guards to capture her. Master, please send me back to Wutong Mountain. I am willing to give you a treasure. The Blue Phoenix gritted her teeth and said, Tell me about it. To tell you the truth, the reason why the Supreme Demon Court is chasing me is because of this treasure. Qing Luan took out an ancient bronze mirror. Chu Kuangren glanced at the copper mirror and activated the spirit of omniscience. However, he was unable to completely analyze it in such a short time. Chu Kuangren's interest was instantly piqued. A treasure that even the omniscient spirit had to spend time to analyze was rare. This simple and unadorned copper mirror was of a very high grade. It was definitely above a Tao artifact. An immortal artifact. It was probably not an ordinary immortal artifact. Go on. I was originally a nameless divine phoenix of Wutong Mountain. Many years ago, I left Wutong Mountain to travel, but I met the crown prince of the sovereign demon court, Jin Dai. He took a fancy to my identity as the divine phoenix of Wutong Mountain and captured me, imprisoning me in the demon court. It has been several years since then. Not long ago, the Azure Luan bloodline in my body awakened, and it actually activated the Azure Luan mirror in the collection of the Supreme Demon Court. This mirror helped me break through the restrictions of the demon court and escape. But later on, the energy of the Azure Luan mirror was exhausted, and I was chased by the Golden Crow guards. Only then did I meet young master. The Azure Luan said slowly. Chu Kuangren's eyes flashed when he heard this. The Azure Luan was previously a divine phoenix, but there were so many divine phoenixes in Wutong Mountain. Why did the sovereign demon court crown prince take a fancy to the Azure Luan? Did he know in advance that the other party contained the Azure Luan bloodline? Unlikely. Then it was a matter of identity. The other party's identity in Wutong Mountain was not ordinary, at least not like what the Azure Luan said. It was just a nameless divine phoenix. Chu Kuangren thought for a while and knew that the Azure Luan did not say all the information, but he did not care too much. Aren't you afraid that I won't agree to your request and kill you directly, snatch this Azure Luan mirror and run away? Chu Kuangren said playfully. No, young master, if you kill me and snatch the Azure Luan mirror, then you will offend the sovereign demon court and Wutong Mountain at the same time. In the Green Orchid Immortal world, no one can offend these two great forces and come out unscathed. There is no one else here. If I kill you, how will Wutong Mountain know? If not, I can fake it and put the blame on the sovereign demon court. Chu Kuangren said, stroking his chin as if he was really thinking about the feasibility of this matter. The Azure Luan beside him was frightened. Was this human a devil? No, this Azure Luan mirror has a limit. Only the Azure Luan can use it. If you kill me, you won't be able to use this fairy weapon. I say, are you playing with me? Since this mirror can only be used by the Azure Luan, then when you return to Wutong Mountain, what use do I have for this mirror? To look at it in the mirror? Chu Kuangren said coldly. It was obvious that he was a little angry. Young master, this Azure Luan mirror contains an immortal scripture. As long as you bring me back to Wutong Mountain, I will give this immortal scripture to you. The Azure Luan continued, cold sweat already dripping from her forehead. Chu Kuangren was a little angry just now, and the slight killing intent that leaked out already made her heart tremble, as if she was facing a god of death. Being with this human, she had a feeling that she was in danger. He was obviously so good-looking, but how could he be so terrifying? There is also an immortal scripture. Chu Kuangren withdrew his killing intent, and his eyes lit up. This trick really did get a lot of things. The Crown Prince of the Demon Court, the Azure Luan of Wutong Mountain, the fairy weapon Azure Luan mirror, and an immortal scripture. Tiske, he might just get a lot out of it. Chu Kuangren stretched out his hand. Give me the Azure Luan mirror. The Azure Luan reluctantly handed it over. Chu Kuangren wanted to take it, but the Azure Luan held onto it tightly, as if she was reluctant to let go. He raised his eyebrows, and with a little force, he pulled the mirror over. In terms of brute force, even 10 Azure Luans could not beat him. After taking the mirror, he channeled his Emperor's Chi into it, but the mirror did not move at all. There was no reaction at all. It seemed like only the Azure Luan could use it. Interesting. Chu Kuangren played with it for a while, then said to the Azure Luan, from now on, you will follow me. As for when I will bring you back to Wutong Mountain, that will depend on my mood. He had agreed to the Azure Luan. Thank you, young master. The Azure Luan's eyes lit up. By the way, what's your name? Azure Wind, Azure Luan, Azure Wind. At this point, Chu Kuangren had another divine beast by his side. On the way to the immortal ancient battlefield, he had been studying the Azure Luan mirror. The all-knowing spirit had almost finished analyzing this mirror, and its origin had left him speechless. This Azure Luan mirror came from the Kunlun Jasper Lake, the legendary sacred land of the immortal realm, the Kunlun Jasper Lake. It was not the Green Orchid Immortal Realm, but the immortal realm when it was complete. It was said that the leader of all the female immortals lived on the Kunlun Jasper Lake, was the Queen Mother of the West. That was an extraordinary and terrifying existence. A powerhouse among the immortals. I can't believe the origin of this Azure Luan mirror is so terrifying. It's related to such an existence. Wait, could the immortal scripture in this Azure Luan mirror be? Chu Kuangren seemed to have thought of something, and his heart trembled. Master, you're right. The immortal scripture in this azure Luan mirror is the Jade Lake immortal scripture that the Queen Mother of the West cultivated. The all-knowing spirit, Xiao AI said. Chapter 945. The Jade Lake Immortal Scripture, the immortal scripture cultivated by the ancient deity, the Queen Mother of the West? Oh my God, I've definitely picked up a treasure. Chu Kuangren's breathing became heavier. The immortal scripture was already a peerless treasure in the Qin Lan immortal world, and the Jade Lake immortal scripture was the immortal scripture that the Queen Mother of the West cultivated. It was the immortal scripture among the immortal scriptures. Even in the complete immortal world, it was still a supreme treasure. According to the legends of the ancient world of immortals, the Western Queen Mother of the Jade Lake was always accompanied by a blue Luan. This blue Luan mirror contains the Jade Lake immortal scripture. Maybe it was given to the blue Luan by the Western Queen Mother, but why did it end up here? But this item was obtained by me, and it is of great use to me. If I don't accept what the heavens have given me, I'll have to face retribution. I'll gladly accept it then. Chu Kuangren's lips curled into a smile. He was in a good mood. Master, don't celebrate too early. According to the analysis, this Jade Lake immortal scripture is only a fragment. It is not the complete Jade Lake immortal scripture. That's enough. Someone like the Queen Mother of the West, even an incomplete immortal scripture is enough for me to cultivate at my current level. Chu Kuangren did not feel regretful at all. In the end, the Celestial Sutra was someone else's cultivation path. Even the Jade Pool Celestial Sutra belonged to the Queen Mother of the West, not him. To him, it was only for reference. The complete version was naturally even better. However, an incomplete scripture was not a big deal. Now, the only way is to extract this immortal scripture. However, only Qing Luan can use the Cyan Luan mirror. If I want Qing Feng to display this immortal scripture for me, it will probably be a little difficult. After all, we just reached an agreement. Before I send her back to Mount Wudong, she won't give me this immortal scripture. Chu Kuangren thought. Wait a minute. The Cyan Phoenix mirror could only be used by the Cyan Phoenix. What if I become a blue Luan? Chu Kuangren had a flash of inspiration. He had the physique book, so he could completely analyze the Azure Luan physique. If he used this physique to activate the Azure Luan mirror, wouldn't that be enough? Xiao AI, is this idea feasible? Chu Kuangren repeated his explanation to Xiao AI. According to the analysis, the feasibility is 90%. That's good. Chu Kuangren smirked as he raised the green phoenix mirror and looked at his own reflection. He chuckled and said, "You're such a clever little devil." Not far away, Green Luan had a puzzled look on her face. Even if this fellow was handsome and narcissistic, there was no need for him to show off in front of himself in the mirror, right? Besides, that's my mirror. Then, she noticed that Chu Kuangren had turned his head to look at her with a playful smile on his face. She could not help but shudder. What was this human plotting? For the next few days, Chu Kuangren intentionally or unintentionally approached the Green Luan and used the Book of Physique to analyze the other party's physique. As for his actions, Qing Wan also noticed it. At first, she was not used to it, but later on, she unconsciously immersed herself in it. There was no other way. He was simply too good-looking. "Boss, what's going on these few days?" This time, the little fox was a little dissatisfied. "That bird is just a little taller than me, has a bigger chest and a perky butt. What's so great about that?" Jian Guan was drinking at the side. When he heard her muttering, he chuckled and said, "For a man, these points are enough." Chu Kuangren walked over and glared at him. "How disrespectful." Jian Guan gave a hollow laugh. "Boss." The little fox immediately greeted him and looked at Chu Kuangren expectantly, making him a little confused. "What's wrong?" "Boss, you don't have that today." "Which one?" "That one." The little fox pointed at her head. Only then did Chu Kuangren come back to his senses. He raised his hand and patted the other party's head, puzzled. "Is it this one?" The little fox nodded with a look of enjoyment, then looked at Qing Feng playfully. Qing Feng pursed his lips, not taking it seriously. "Wasn't it just patting the head? What's so great about it?" A divine beast was being patted like a pet by a human. How shameless! Qing Feng thought so, but when she looked at Chu Kuangren's hand, she could not help but reveal a trace of envy and anticipation. Why, do you want to be patted too? Chu Kuangren raised his other hand and asked curiously. No, I don't need it. Qing Feng shook her head. In the end, she could not bring herself to do it. However, looking at the little fox's unbridled and proud look, she could not help but feel jealous. She wanted to be patted too. Just as she was letting her imagination run wild, a warm palm had already been placed on her head, gently rubbing it twice. Is this okay? Chu Kuangren said calmly. The blue phoenix's face flushed red. She felt like she was about to burst into flames, but she nodded gently to show that it was okay. Beside her, Jian Guan watched in amazement. What was a beast-taming master? This was a beast-taming master. Whether it was the blue phoenix or the moonlight fox, they all had to be obedient. Awesome. Chu Kuangren was using the book of physique to analyze the blue phoenix's physique. He estimated that it would be done in a few days. 3 days later, Chu Kuangren and the others were very close to the immortal ancient battlefield. Not only that, but they also encountered some immortal seeds. Not far ahead is Heaven Luo City. It's one of the 108 cities, and it's also the city closest to the immortal ancient battlefield. Those who came to explore the immortal ancient battlefield are temporarily staying there. Jian Guan said. As far as everyone's eyes could see, they could only see a magnificent city rising from the ground. People came and went, and there were also countless guards patrolling the streets. Boss, you killed the ancient Phoenix City Lord and the Sage City's enforcers. Won't you cause trouble if you just go in like that? Little Fox asked. Qing Feng was stunned when she heard that. She knew about the Sage City. Did Chu Kuangren offend such a force? Don't worry. Now that there are so many immortal seeds in Heaven Luo City, they won't have the time to care about me. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Yes, that's right. Now that everyone's focused on exploring the immortal ancient battlefield, as long as you don't do anything out of line, no one will notice you, Master. Jian Guan added. Then, the few of them walked towards Heaven Luo City. Just as Chu Kuangren expected, everyone was now planning how to explore the immortal ancient battlefield, so no one paid attention to him. Besides, not many people had seen him before. He had only become famous in the Green Orchid Immortal world in the past few days. After entering Heaven Luo City, the group found an inn to rest, planning to gather some information before making a move. Not long after Chu Kuangren entered Heaven Luo City. At the city gate, a silver-haired silhouette in silver-white armor walked over. She looked at Heaven Luo City and murmured, Master, will you come here? Outsiders, pay the entrance fee before entering the city. A guard shouted at the silver-haired silhouette. The others looked at her curiously. Although the silver-haired silhouette had covered her face with a spiritual veil, one could vaguely see her peerless beauty. The holy aura on her body was also eye-catching. TSK, perhaps she's a peerless beauty. A guard said in amazement. Lan Yu snorted as her Tao Lord aura erupted. A Tao Lord was already considered an expert. A few of the guards were intimidated and retracted their gazes. Take it. Lan Yu threw a yin and yang ring and paid the entrance fee. Not long after she left, a few more people came over. The leader was a young man riding a red lion. It's that woman's light aura. The red lion wrinkled its nose and said. The eyes of the young man and the others lit up. I can't believe that woman is here too. I've searched far and wide for her. That woman killed so many of my beasts, I must teach her a lesson this time. Chapter 946. Heaven Luo City. Chu Kuangren and the others found an inn to stay in for the time being. At the same time, they were also gathering information before they planned to enter the immortal ancient battlefield. The vengeful spirits in the immortal ancient battlefield are too terrifying. I heard that another celestial seed cultivator died in there today. These vengeful spirits are formed by the combination of resentment from the shattered immortal souls. Of course they're powerful. I heard that there are even more vengeful spirits in the depths of the immortal ancient battlefield. Just thinking about it is scary. Although the immortal ancient battlefield is dangerous, there are many opportunities of fortune and treasures too. Immortal pills and immortal weapons might appear occasionally. Although they've lost most of their power, they're still not to be underestimated. The cultivators who had explored the immortal ancient battlefield were discussing among themselves. Chu Kuangren listened from the side. This immortal ancient battlefield is only a corner of the immortal ancient battlefield, but it's already so terrifying. It's hard to imagine the scale of the great battle that destroyed the entire immortal realm. Someone could not help but exclaim. Many cultivators fell into deep thought too. That kind of battle was not something they could imagine. At that moment, there was a sudden explosion of powerful energy in the distance. It seemed like someone was fighting in Heaven Luo City. The cultivators' attention was immediately drawn to that direction. What's going on? Someone dares to cause trouble in Heaven Luo City? Aren't they afraid of attracting the attention of the city guards? Let's go and have a look. Little Fox and Qing Feng also looked into the distance curiously. Boss, should we go and have a look? Mind your own business. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Heaven Luo City. A white figure with a pair of wings on his back was flying past, and behind him, there were a few figures in hot pursuit. Is that some kind of demon? Doesn't look like it. There's no demonic chi, so it should be some kind of mutated human. The universe is so big that there are all kinds of races. Tao Lord Realm. The people on the street looked at the few rays of light and discussed among themselves. Soon, a few powerful flying beasts appeared in front of the white ray of light, blocking her way. D****. Lan Yu's expression turned cold. She raised her hand and channeled the Emperor's chi within her body. The power of light erupted, and white spears formed in the void before shooting out. Although the Yao beasts were repelled, it did not take long for the few beams of light behind them to catch up and surround Lan Yu. Featherman, just a trifling little Tao Lord. Where do you think you can run to? A young man sneered. I have no enmity with your beast hunter star. Why are you pursuing me so relentlessly? Lan Yu asked coldly. She was only a minor Tao Lord, so she had no way of fighting back against an immortal seed giant like the beast hunting planet's young master. If not for the life-saving items that Chu Kuangren had taken from the Purple Star Civilization and the Black Blood Gang, they would have been captured long ago. But now, those treasures had all been used up. She felt a little hopeless. You've killed so many demonic beasts, shouldn't you compensate them? Hee, winged people, such a strange race, I rarely see them on Beast Hunting Planet. I'm going to capture you and make you into my collection. The young master of Beast Hunting Star said in amazement. The winged people were not unique to Firmament Star. They could be found on other planets with life as well, and they were considered a mutated species among the human race. There were also some on Beast Hunting Planet, but due to their outstanding appearance and combat talents, they had been hunted and hunted many times. Now, they were considered an endangered species. Even the young master of Beast Hunting Star had not seen many of them. Not to mention, Lan Yu was an outstanding winged person. Her holy and radiant aura was definitely unique among the winged person. That was also the reason why he was so relentless in pursuing Lan Yu. Outsiders, what are you doing here? At that moment, the city defense army arrived. They were led by a middle-aged general. He looked at Lan Yu and the others with a cold gaze. The young master of Beast Hunting Star was not surprised by the arrival of the city defense army. He immediately took out a red token that was engraved with flame patterns. I'm a god's child in preparation for the Divine Flame sect. I'm here to capture an outsider. I hope the general can give us some face and we'll settle this quickly. Lan Yu frowned when she saw that. She had been in Qing Lan Immortal World for some time now, and she knew that outsiders were not welcomed here. However, she did not expect that the young master of Beast Hunting Star would join the Divine Flame sect so quickly and even become a god's child in preparation. The middle-aged general pondered for a while. The Divine Flame sect's heritage was not inferior to the celestial cities, and Tian Luo City was only one of the 108 cities. After some consideration, The middle-aged general said, "Since it's the Divine Flame sect's business, we won't interfere. By the way, a few God's children from the Divine Flame sect are now guests in the city governor's residence. They are also considered guests of Tianluo City. Do you need our help to capture this person?" That's great. General, please seal off this person's escape route. Let me capture her myself." The young master of beast hunting star smiled. "All right." The middle-aged general nodded and sealed off all escape routes. "Even if I die in battle, I will never yield." Lan Yu took a deep breath. Her eyes revealed a determined look as her body burned with white flames, and her aura continued to rise. The thick aura of light was like a tide, constantly spreading outwards. Oh, the life energy burning technique. However, this technique can only increase your cultivation level by 1 level at most. How can you be my opponent? The young master of beast hunting star said disdainfully. He was a peak great Tao lord and had even comprehended an origin energy. He could be said to be a celestial seed giant. Otherwise, he would not have been able to join the Divine Flame sect and become a god's child in preparation. As for Lan Yu, she was just a little Tao lord. Even if she burned her life energy, she would not be his opponent. The difference between them was too great. It doesn't matter even if you die. I will make a specimen of your body and keep it well. The young master of beast hunting star made his move. With a palm strike, majestic emperor energy erupted and sent Lan Yu, who was burning her life energy, flying while vomiting blood. I'll have to go easy on you. If I break you, then this specimen won't look good." The young master of beast hunting star grinned. Lan Yu snorted coldly. Her escape route was sealed, and there was a strong enemy like the young master of beast hunting star in front of her. She could only fight to the death. On the other side, Chu Kuangren was drinking in an inn when a sudden light aura came from afar, causing his expression to change. "This aura, how can it be?" He stood up abruptly and looked into the distance. The next moment, he disappeared from where he stood. Little Fox and Sword Crown looked at each other. They were confused. It was the first time they had seen Chu Kuangren so nervous. What happened? Let's follow them. Perhaps it has something to do with the battle earlier. On the street, the city guards had sealed off all escape routes. The young master of beast hunting star made his move and suppressed Lan Yu completely. The power of a celestial seed giant was not something Lan Yu could handle. "My next move will end your life." The young master of beast hunting star sneered at Lan Yu's weakened aura. With a lift of his arm, his emperor energy and Taoist patterns intertwined to form a ferocious beast shadow. Just when he was about to make his move, an extremely cold killing intent descended from the sky and enveloped the entire area. Lan Yu smiled when she sensed the killing intent. She knew that the light aura she released was not wasted. "Master." Chapter 947. Master? Lan Yu looked up into the sky. What she saw was a familiar white-robed figure descending from the sky. His expression was cold and his eyes were as cold as ice. Only when he looked at her did he reveal a hint of tenderness. That tenderness melted Lan Yu's heart. She felt that all the suffering she had gone through was worth it. Chu Kuangren came to Lan Yu's side and looked at her injuries with a pained expression. He immediately channeled his emperor's qi to condense water qi into her body to heal her injuries. He did not know why Lan Yu was here. He did not ask her either. Leave the rest to me." Chu Kuangren took a deep breath and said, "All right." Lan Yu nodded. She had many things to tell Chu Kuangren, but now was not the time to reminisce. "For you, how dare you meddle in the affairs of the Divine Flame Church?" The young lord of the Beast Hunter planet said coldly. Now, he considered himself a member of the Divine Flame Church. When Chu Kuangren heard that, his eyes turned cold and his murderous intent poured out. "Be ****starred. How do you want to die?" The young lord's expression darkened. "How dare you ignore the Divine Flame Church? You're the one who has a death wish." He called out to the beasts around him that were under his control to attack Chu Kuangren. He wanted to use these beasts to test Chu Kuangren's strength. "Oh, the Beast Hunter planet. You've even joined the Divine Flame Church. What a small world indeed. The murderous intent in Chu Kuangren's eyes intensified. He gently raised his hand. Instantly, numerous purple lotuses appeared in the surroundings. The purple lotuses soared into the sky, looking incomparably beautiful. Then they landed on the bodies of the demonic beasts. In an instant, the purple lotuses exploded into sword chi. In the blink of an eye, the beasts were reduced to a pile of broken limbs. In an instant, the surroundings seemed to have turned into purgatory. The young lord's eyes narrowed. This sword chi is definitely not from an ordinary celestial seed cultivator. Who are you? I've decided. Chu Kuangren did not answer him. Instead, he said, Your death shall be death by 1,000 cuts. As soon as he finished, the purple lotuses soared into the sky and surrounded the young lord. The purple lotuses dispersed and countless petals fell. Each petal was a beam of sword chi. The sword chi danced in the air, raging as it landed on the young master of beast hunting star. Each sword chi took away a chunk of flesh. Damn it, get lost. The young master of beast hunting star looked terrified. He crazily activated the emperor's chi and intertwined with the Tao patterns, turning into ferocious beasts that continuously collided with the lotus sword chi. But it was useless. The 1,000 lotus sword intent was unbreakable. With Chu Kuangren's current strength, not even 10 celestial seed magnates could break through it. The purple lotus bloomed, turning into petals that filled the sky. This scene was absolutely beautiful. The flower petals transformed into sword chi, tearing apart the body of the almost crazed beast-hunting planet young master. Flesh and blood were torn apart. This scene was extremely savage. Beautiful and savage. They weaved together to form a bizarre scene of slaughter. The surrounding cultivators were dumbfounded. Outsider, don't be presumptuous here. At that moment, the middle-aged commander of the city defense army said loudly, This person is a divine flame sect of enlightenment's trainee divine child, a guest of Heaven Luo City. If you don't stop now, you won't be able to leave Heaven Luo City. I almost forgot, there's still you guys. Chu Kuangren looked at the city defense army. He clearly saw that these people had helped the young master of beast hunting star to seal off Lan Yu's escape route. What are you trying to do? The middle-aged commander's eyes narrowed. An inexplicable sense of terror enveloped him. Chu Kuangren waved his sleeves, and one by one, purple lotuses bloomed and enveloped the city defense army. In an instant, it was a scene of slaughter. As the sword chi flowed, flesh and blood flew everywhere. That's the 1,000 lotus sword intent. This person is the recently famous celestial seed king, Chu Kuangren. Someone recognized Chu Kuangren. At that moment, screams could be heard everywhere. Celestial seed kings were rare. Not to mention Chu Kuangren, an outsider celestial seed king. When Sword Crown, Little Fox, and Qing Feng arrived at the scene, the city defense army was already dead, and blood was everywhere. As for the young master of beast hunting star, it was even more tragic. Almost all that was left of him was a skeleton. However, his aura was not completely gone. Sword Crown could not help but gulp at such an extreme torture. The 1,000 lotus sword intent can be used like this. Little Fox was stunned too. This is the first time I've seen you so angry. Is it because of that woman? Qing Feng looked at Lan Yu, who was beside Chu Kuangren. Even with her extraordinary beauty, she could not help but be stunned. That kind of holy aura was indeed very attractive. That person must be very important to you, boss. Little Fox murmured. Chu Kuangren casually blasted out a palm attack, and the young master of beast hunting star, who had already been reduced to a skeleton, instantly turned into dust. Then he looked in the direction of the city hall. There, a few rays of light flew over, and a terrifying aura enveloped the area, completely locking onto Chu Kuangren. Those people were a few young men. There was also an old man in a luxurious robe. It's the celestial seed rulers from the Divine Flame Church and the Sky Luo City Lord. As expected, once Chu Kuangren appeared, they couldn't sit still anymore. Tisk tisk, this is going to be a good show. Jingguan came to Chu Kuangren's side and shook his head with a bitter smile. He should have thought of this a long time ago. As long as they did not do anything too out of line, no one would notice them. However, with Chu Kuangren's personality, how could that be possible? He felt that Chu Kuangren was a troublemaker. No matter where he went, trouble would definitely come looking for him. Chu Kuangren, I didn't expect you to show up in Sky Luo City in broad daylight and kill the Divine Flame Church's Divine Disciple candidate. The Sky Luo City Lord said coldly. This world is big, where can I go? Why should I hide in a small Sky Luo City? As for the Divine Flame Church's Divine Disciple candidate, he's just an insignificant person. So what if I kill him? Chu Kuangren said calmly. You, how dare you? Beside the Sky Luo City Lord, a Divine Flame Church's Divine Disciple snorted coldly with a cold, murderous intent in his eyes. As he lifted his arm, a crimson flame suddenly appeared, and the flames between the heavens and earth converged to form a giant flaming fist. Chu Kuangren stood still, allowing the majestic flames to invade his body. The next moment, a golden red flame flashed on his body. The phoenix flame exploded. The incomparably ferocious phoenix flame swept across and engulfed the Divine Disciple's flames in an instant, engulfing him in an even more violent manner. That Divine Disciple only had time to let out a scream before his body was burned into a piece of charcoal. He could not fight back at all. There's actually a human who can use the phoenix flame. Qing Feng was dumbfounded as he watched from behind. What? This person's phoenix flame is so terrifying. I guess only the Divine Flame can be compared to him. The Divine Flame Church's Divine Disciples' expressions changed slightly. Beside them, the Sky Luo City Lord's expression was extremely solemn as well. Chu Kuangren, you're here to explore the immortal ancient battlefield, right? If that's the case, don't cause any more trouble. Please behave yourself. Everyone was surprised. After witnessing Chu Kuangren's strength, these people admitted defeat. Chapter 948. Obedient. Chu Kuangren could not help but chuckle. At first, I really didn't want to cause any trouble. After all, it's really boring to find trouble with a bunch of repulsive people like you every day. But since you guys don't give me the chance to do so and keep coming at me, don't blame me for what happens next. He spoke slowly, word for word like ice, and his extremely cold, killing intent enveloped the surroundings, causing others to tremble with fear. He was really angry. Just a little more. If he had arrived any later, Lan Yu would have died. What do you want? The Sky Luo City Lord said. At the same time, he had already secretly mobilized the troops in Sky Luo City to gather here. After sensing Chu Kuangren's murderous intent, he knew that there would be a tough battle today. Kill! Without another word, Chu Kuangren raised his arm and activated his phoenix flames. The terrifying flames then blasted towards the few Divine Flame School of Enlightenment God's disciples. The few divine sons hurriedly dodged. That phoenix flame terrified them. Since that's the case, I'll fight it out with you. Heaven Luo City Lord said coldly. He took out a long saber, which was a top-notch heavenly Tao artifact. With a slash, a brutal and domineering saber light covered the sky and earth. Naturally, the Divine Flame sect's divine children would not just sit around and wait for their deaths. One by one, they channeled their flames and unleashed all sorts of powerful immortal techniques towards Chu Kuangren. The power of a void immortal, the immortal technique of a celestial sea giant, all kinds of powerful forces shook the void. Chu Kuangren's gaze was cold. With a lift of his arm, several surges of origin energy erupted, and the phoenix flame in his palm rose, illuminating the void. Courting death. The phoenix fire engulfed all sorts of energies, and the incomparably violent fire waves sent a few gods and the Tian Luo City Lord flying. Thousand Lotus Sword intent. Chu Kuangren raised his hand again. The origin of sword erupted. Purple lotuses appeared in the air. The most beautiful lotus blossomed with the purest sword chi, wreaking havoc in the void like a storm of sword chi sweeping across the entire area. Wherever the sword chi passed, 2 divine princes died. Not long after, a large number of city guards rushed over from all directions and surrounded Chu Kuangren and his group. Execute them on the spot. the Tianluo city lord said coldly. As for the other cultivators on the street, they had already run away. Chu Kuangren stood where he was and looked at the soldiers who were charging towards him. He said coldly, "Are you sending your minions here to die?" With a flick of his sleeve, Phoenix fire surged out. Not long after, tens of thousands of soldiers were reduced to ashes. The floating purple lotus transformed into sword chi and swept across. Wherever it went, blood splattered everywhere, leaving only severed limbs on the ground. Chu Kuangren had unleashed his phoenix flames and sword chi to the fullest. The cultivators present couldn't even get close to him. The spectators all exclaimed in surprise. "This is too terrifying. This kind of battle prowess is definitely at the level of an immortal seed king. In fact, I feel that he's already on the path to immortality. This is the first time I've seen such a terrifying foreign immortal seed." The sounds of battle rang out incessantly. In just a short while, the streets were filled with countless severed limbs and charred corpses. The divine princes of the divine Fire Ming clan were all dead. The Heaven Luo city lord would not be able to escape this calamity. In the end, the entire Heaven Luo city fell silent. Until no one dared to attack Chu Kuangren anymore, the battle slowly subsided. Amidst the mountains of corpses and seas of blood, Chu Kuangren's white robe was still as clean as ever, untainted by even a speck of dust. However, everyone could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. "Let's go," Chu Kuangren said to Lan Yu and the others beside him. The few of them left. However, everyone knew that this massacre was just the beginning. The divine Fire Ming clan had lost a few divine princes, and the sage capital had lost a city lord. Chu Kuangren had completely offended these two great forces. They would never let Chu Kuangren go. In an inn in Heaven Luo City, Chu Kuangren was treating Lan Yu's injuries. With his current medical skills, he could even heal immortals' injuries, let alone Lan Yu's. The only problem was the burning of one's life energy. It was difficult to recover one's life energy that had been burned. Lan Yu had used up at least half of her life energy in that battle. This made Chu Kuangren feel both heartache and anger at the same time. "Divine Flame Church of Light, I will not let this matter rest so easily." A murderous intent flashed in Chu Kuangren's eyes. Since the Beast Hunter planet's young master was the divine Fire Ming clan's divine son-in-waiting, he would naturally blame this on them. "Master, don't worry. It's just some life energy. When your cultivation level improves in the future, it will naturally recover." Lan Yu comforted him. "It won't be that easy. Burning your life energy is equivalent to burning your potential. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for your cultivation level to improve anymore," Chu Kuangren said with a pained expression. Not everyone had an immortal body like him. Beside him, Little Fox, Xing Feng, and Jingguan saw the pained look in Chu Kuangren's eyes and realized how important this silver-haired lady was to him. Could she be Master's confidant? Jingguan thought to himself. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. So, he already has a confidant. A hint of sadness flashed across Qing Feng's eyes. F***Seek me, a big shot's confidant. No, I must build a good relationship with her. Little Fox, on the other hand, was thinking of befriending Lan Yu. Chu Kuangren was not interested in what the two beasts were thinking. All he wanted to know was what Lan Yu had experienced. Soon, Lan Yu told him everything. It turned out that after the Shattered Immortal Realm appeared, Lan Yu, Chu Hong, and Yen Honghua left Firmament Star together to explore the world. However, before they could enter the Shattered Immortal Realm, they encountered the people from the Beast Hunter planet. They wanted to capture Lan Yu and Chu Hong, but with a few life-saving items, the three ladies managed to fight their way out. However, they were separated because of that. Not long after Lan Yu entered the Shattered Immortal Realm, she heard about Chu Kuangren's rampage in ancient Sparrow City and his killing of the Sacred City Enforcer. I knew it had to be the young master, so I thought that the immortal ancient battlefield would most likely bring the young master here. I didn't expect to encounter the people from the Beast Hunter planet again. I'm no match for them, so I took a gamble and burned my life energy to release my energy. I hope you can sense it, Master. Lan Yu said slowly. You did well. I did sense it. Chu Kuangren was a little scared. If he was a little further away, or if Lan Yu did not think of releasing her energy to ask for help, the consequences would be unimaginable. Let's rest here for a few days before entering the immortal ancient battlefield. Maybe we can find some life-restoring treasures there, Chu Kuangren said. A few days later, Chu Kuangren and the others left Heaven Luo City and entered the immortal ancient battlefield. Not long after they left, the Sacred City Enforcer and the rest of the Divine Flame Church's deities also arrived at Heaven Luo City. When they found out what Chu Kuangren had done, these people's faces turned extremely gloomy. They were determined to kill Chu Kuangren. Killing 2 city lords in a row, this Chu Kuangren. He's determined to fight the sacred city to the death. Wu Wuji, the personal disciple of the sacred city and one of the 12 sage seed kings, said coldly. And the Divine Flame Church's deities too. If I meet him, I'll let him experience the pain of being burned by the divine flame. Chapter 949. Broken weapons, desolate scenes, and human corpses could be seen everywhere. The howling of the wind seemed to be mixed with the howling of vengeful spirits. The place where immortals and deities had fallen was the immortal ancient battlefield. Gray mist could be seen everywhere in the immortal ancient battlefield. It was a condensed form of resentment chi. Ordinary cultivators who entered this place would be affected by the resentment chi. Without a certain level of cultivation, they would not be able to stay here for too long. Somewhere in the immortal ancient battlefield, Chu Kuangren was walking on the battlefield with Lan Yu and the others. What a dilapidated scene! Sword Crown shook his head and lamented. He lifted his arm and easily isolated the surrounding resentment chi. After several treatments, his internal injuries had mostly healed, and he could now use about 60 to 70% of his strength. The rest did not require Chu Kuangren to treat, as he could slowly recover on his own. It would not be long before Sword Crown returned to his peak. Chu Kuangren would also have an immortal follower. Even if you were an immortal when you were alive, you're just a pile of dirt in death. Chu Kuangren looked at the corpses on the ground and said, these corpses still had a faint immortal glow, but it had been too long. Even if they were immortal corpses, they would turn into ashes with just a touch. Only extremely powerful immortals could preserve their bodies after death, and they could even preserve their energy for an entire era. However, such immortals were too rare. Even in the ancient immortal realm, there were probably not many of them. Whoosh, whoosh, several rays of light flew past Chu Kuangren's head. Which direction is it this time? Did something happen? Chu Kuangren decided to bring some people over to take a look. Soon, he brought his men to a place where a crowd had gathered. These people were gathered together and seemed to be discussing something. There are quite a lot of people here to attack the Wailing Ghost Ridge. That's right. I heard that there are countless vengeful spirits in the Wailing Ghost Ridge. Hundreds of immortals once fought there, so there must be a lot of treasures left behind. If we can break through, we'll definitely gain a lot. I heard that this time, it was led by Saber Monarch Sword Burial and Little Sage Monk Huefa of the Golden Mountain Temple. These are 2 young kings of the Azure Orchid Immortal World. With them, our chances of success are very high. Chu Kuangren also heard the crowd's discussion and had an idea. Sword Burial, and the Golden Hill Temple's Little Sage Monk Huefa, second of the 12 kings of the Immortal World. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. It was towards the Crying Ghost Ridge, and also towards the Celestial Seed King. Boom! At that moment, a giant saber shadow swept across the sky from afar. The saber shadow was intertwined with Dao patterns, emanating an extremely overbearing aura. With a slash, the ground split into 2. After the saber shadow dissipated, a figure appeared. It was a young man who looked to be in his 30s. The young man wore a green robe and had a sturdy figure. His sharp, eagle-like eyes swept through everyone present, causing them to be unable to help but feel fearful. What was even more noteworthy was that the young man carried a heavy black saber on his back. The saber wasn't unsheathed, but there was a faint immortal radiance circulating around it. It's the Sword Burial Sea Saber Monarch. He's here. Look, The saber on his back is rumored to be forged from Black Crow immortal gold. It is one of the 3 famed sabers of the burial sword sea. Even a heavenly Tao artifact would not be able to withstand a single blow from it. It is said that this blade has the potential to become an immortal artifact. Everyone looked at the Saber King in shock. Chu Kuangren took a few more glances and activated the spirit of omniscience. After analyzing the information, he lost interest. This is the Sword Burial Sea Saber Monarch? King of Immortal Seeds? That's all. At this moment, a golden Buddhist light shone in the distance. Under this Buddhist light, the resentment in the surroundings rapidly melted like snow meeting the blazing sun. A white-robed monk slowly walked out from the Buddhist light. The monk held a string of Buddhist beads in his hand. He had a handsome face and a faintly discernible smile on the corner of his mouth, giving off a good impression. However, upon closer inspection, this monk gave off an unfathomable feeling. His emperor's chi was as majestic as the ocean. The person who came was the king of immortal seeds from Jinshan Temple, Hui Efei. Chu Kuangren had also analyzed the opponent's side and immediately realized that Hui Efei's strength was much higher than the Saber King's. According to the analysis, Hui Efei has already reached the peak of the Heavenly Tao Lord and stepped onto the path of immortal ascension. He has already passed the first tribulation. The voice of the omniscient spirit, Shao Ai, sounded in his mind. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. A king of immortal seeds that had already embarked on the path to immortality? To become an immortal, one had to first overcome the 3 calamities and 9 tribulations. The 3 calamities and 9 tribulations were also known as the path of immortality. Once one embarked on the path of immortality, there would only be 2 outcomes. One would either die on the path of immortality, or the other would become an immortal and live a carefree life. There was no such thing as a false immortal. A false immortal was a cultivator who had exhausted all of his potential and could no longer progress any further. To them, immortals existed only in the realm of illusion. If they did not encounter a great opportunity of fortune, they would never be able to embark on the path of immortality. Little sage monk, it's been a while. The Saber King looked at Hui Efei and said, Saber King, how have you been? We've gathered so many people this time. I'm sure we can raise the Wailing Ghost Ridge to the ground. The Saber King's eyes lit up. The crusade against the Wailing Ghost Ridge and cleansing the vengeful spirits is an act of boundless virtue. I believe that the Buddha will bless us. Hui Efei smiled faintly. Buddha is merciful. Behind him, a few monks chanted the Buddha's name. The Saber King curled his lips and snorted. I don't care if the Buddha blesses me or not. I only believe in the sword in my hand. Heh! Hui Efei chuckled, not minding it at all. After that, more immortal seed cultivators joined the crusade against the Wailing Ghost Ridge. There were even a few immortal seed giants among them. For example, Chu Kuangren had met the Divine Flame Sect's god's disciple, Vulcan Shao. His aura was much stronger than before. It could be said that he was the strongest giant below the Sage Seed Monarchs. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Interesting. It looks like he has improved a lot these days. I guess I didn't let him go in vain. The value of the weak was too little. Only when the other party became stronger could one reap more value. That was also the reason why Chu Kuangren let Vulcan Shao go. It was to cast a long line to catch a big fish. Why do I feel a familiar aura here? Vulcan Shao frowned. His gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on Chu Kuangren. Although Chu Kuangren was shrouded in a spiritual barrier, he could not see him clearly. However, that aura, was something he would never forget. It's him? Vulcan Zhao's heart trembled violently. He could not help but recall the time when he was defeated by Chu Kuangren in a single move at the Divine Flame Cave. That was a psychological trauma to him. As if sensing that Vulcan Shao was looking at him, Chu Kuangren turned around and his gaze landed on Vulcan Shao through the spiritual barrier. At that moment, Vulcan Shao felt his body stiffen. It was as if he was shrouded by some great terror. He quickly averted his gaze. Brother Vulcan, what's wrong? Hui Efei looked at Vulcan Shao and asked. Vulcan Shao shook his head. No, nothing. he did not reveal that Chu Kuangren was also in the group. He had heard that a few God's disciples from the Divine Flame sect had died in Chu Kuangren's hands. If he exposed Chu Kuangren now, what would he do as a God's disciple? He could not defeat Chu Kuangren if he fought, but if he did not fight, he would not be able to explain himself. He might as well pretend that he did not know anything. Hui Fa was also puzzled. He looked in the direction that Vulcan Shao was looking at. When he saw Chu Kuangren, his eyes flashed. This person was not simple. Chapter 950. This person is not simple. Hui Fa glanced at Chu Kuangren with a strange look in his eyes before he ignored him. He had absolute confidence in himself. Even if his opponent was a celestial seed king, he could still suppress it. That was because he was already on the path of immortality. That alone was not something an ordinary celestial seed king could compare to. No, he was no longer in celestial seed. He was on the path of immortality, the demi-immortal. Everyone set off towards the Wailing Ghost Ridge. The closer they got to the Wailing Ghost Ridge, the more gray mist there was, which affected the cultivators even more. However, along the way, Hui Fa and his fellow cultivators had activated their Buddhist light to isolate most of the resentment chi's influence. That would allow everyone to maintain their combat strength when they reached the Wailing Ghost Ridge. The Wailing Ghost Ridge is just up ahead. Hui Fa looked at a mountain in the distance and said, that mountain was shrouded in a thick gray mist, and the resentment chi was overwhelming. Everyone, get ready. Not long after, everyone entered the Wailing Ghost Ridge. As soon as they entered, they could not help but channel their emperor's chi to resist it. Chu Kuangren, however, did not feel anything. The resentment chi mainly targeted his physical body and mind. His physical body was strong, and his soul energy was even more majestic. The resentment chi did not affect him at all. As for Lan Yu, Qing Feng, and the others who were beside him, they were safe with Sword Crown's protection. Bringing Sword Crown here? Isn't that a bit of a bully? Chu Kuangren chuckled to himself. Sword Crown's injuries had mostly recovered. Don't look at how he usually didn't show it. He was an immortal after all. A small Wailing Ghost Ridge could be taken care of with a single slash from him. It was a bit like a max-leveled main character coming to a beginner's village. Look, what's that? Suddenly, someone in the crowd exclaimed. Everyone looked over. There was a blade stuck in one of the mountain walls. The saber looked like it had been around for a very long time and had already rusted. However, there was still a faint immortal radiance circulating on it. That's an immortal weapon. Although it's a broken immortal weapon, if we can bring it back and refine it, we can still get quite a lot of immortal metals. A cultivator said with a fiery gaze. Immortal metals were materials needed to refine immortal weapons, so they were very valuable. A cultivator rushed out and was about to snatch the immortal metal. However, right at this moment, a roar sounded out from the distance. A several zhang tall vengeful spirit rushed out from the mountain forest. The face of this vengeful spirit was distorted, and its original appearance could no longer be seen. However, the aura that erupted from his every move was extremely terrifying. It had already reached the late-stage Heavenly Tao Lord stage. The cultivator who wanted to grab the immortal artifact failed to dodge in time, and the vengeful spirit sent him flying. His face turned pale and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. Vengeful spirits. The vengeful spirit has appeared, everyone be careful. Everyone's expression changed, and they quickly became alert. As for the sword burial C's young master, Saber Wang Qi, he took a step forward and used his palm as a saber to slice through the void. A majestic saber chi instantly poured out. The vengeful spirit was blasted away by the saber chi. Its powerful strength immediately made many cultivators exclaim in admiration. Is this the strength of the young lord of the sword burial sea? As expected of one of the 12 kings of the immortal world. Truly formidable. Not bad, it's amazing. Beside Chu Kuangren, Jianguan glanced at him. This is the sword burial sea's immortal technique, the tyrant saber technique. This kid has cultivated it well, to be able to cultivate it to this level at such a young age. Yes, compared to other immortal seeds, it's indeed much more outstanding. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Upon hearing that, Jianguan let out a dry laugh. He suddenly realized that no matter how outstanding a immortal seed was, it was still trash in front of this person. They were not on the same level at all. After sending the vengeful spirit flying with another slash, Jianguan followed up with another attack. Using his palm as a saber, he fully unleashed the sword burial sea's immortal technique. In just a few breaths' time, the vengeful spirit that was comparable to the heavenly Tao Lord was slain. After its death, the vengeful spirit turned into a huge cloud of vengeful qi. At that moment, Hui Fa suddenly took out a golden Buddha statue and tossed it into the air. The Buddha statue radiated a golden light, and the vengeful qi that was released after the vengeful spirit's death was absorbed into its body. This scene caused everyone to be stunned. This little sage monk seems to be collecting vengeful qi? Amitba. Once the vengeful qi of these vengeful spirits returns to the heavens and earth, it won't take long for them to condense into vengeful spirits again. To prevent them from harming the world again, I've stored them into this Buddha statue. I'm going to purify them when I return, Hui Fa said with a smile. Upon hearing that, everyone came to a sudden realization. I see. Little sage monk is indeed worthy of his name. He has a bodhisattva's heart and is considerate of the people of the world. I'm impressed. Not bad. Little sage monk lives up to his name. Chu Kuangren glanced at the Buddha statue with a playful look on his face. Interesting. This little sage monk is not as simple as he seems. He had used Xiao AI to analyze that Buddha statue. He had discovered something interesting. After killing a vengeful spirit, the group continued to move forward. Besides the vengeful spirits, they had also encountered many treasures along the way. However, Chu Kuangren had yet to encounter anything that caught his attention. Apart from occasionally killing a few vengeful spirits that came looking for death, he basically did not make any moves and just watched from the sidelines. As the group ventured deeper into the Wailing Ghost Ridge, they were suddenly attacked by a wave of vengeful spirits and fell into battle. Bone-corroding poisonous flame. Vulcan Shao let out a low growl and raised his hand to blast out a black flame. The flame burned the vengeful spirits like maggots. Chu Kuangren watched from the sidelines and smiled playfully. This is a divine flame from the Divine Flame leaderboard. Interesting. Looks like he has found another opportunity even though he didn't get the purple heaven radiant flame. That's good too. Looks like my phoenix flame is going to be replenished again. Not good. At that moment, a scream came from not far away from Chu Kuangren. A woman with a face full of pockmarks was being surrounded by several vengeful spirits. She used her sword to defend herself, but after a few moves, she was at a disadvantage and was in danger. The other cultivators around her were busy dealing with other vengeful spirits and did not have the time to help her. Those who were more capable did not help either. This was especially true for the Saber King. He carried his saber on his back and crossed his arms as he watched from the sidelines. A swordsman? And such a vulgar woman at that. Such a person is not worthy of my help. The sword burial sea cultivators seemed to have some sort of prejudice against swordsmen in the world. They did not treat them kindly at all. If this woman was a beauty, he might have helped her. Unfortunately, her face was full of pockmarks, which made him feel disgusted. Not far away, Hui Fa was using his Buddhist light to fight against a vengeful spirit. With his strength, he could finish off the vengeful spirit quickly and save the woman. However, he did not do so. That was because he did not want to reveal his true strength for now. The pockmarked woman was being surrounded by vengeful spirits, but no one helped her. The cruelty of the cultivation world was on full display. It's over. Am I going to die here? The pockmarked woman's eyes were filled with despair. However, at that moment, Chu Kuangren, who was not far away, casually raised his hand. Swords, spears, swords, and halberds formed out of thin air and shot towards the vengeful spirits that were surrounding the pockmarked woman. With a few loud explosions, the vengeful spirits were completely destroyed. This scene made Hui Fa, the Saber King, and the others who were not far away, slightly stunned. They looked at Chu Kuangren with a strange expression on their faces. I can't believe there's such an expert in our team. This person is indeed not simple. Chapter 951. Phew, I'm saved. The pockmarked woman let out a sigh of relief and looked at Chu Kuangren with gratitude. Thank you for saving me, brother. She clearly saw that the Sword King and the others had the ability to help. The only one who could save her was Chu Kuangren. Don't worry about it. It was nothing. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Saving the pockmarked woman was just a matter of convenience. It was like seeing some pitiful kittens and puppies on the road and throwing them a bone. It was all based on his heart. To you, it was nothing, but to me, you saved my life. I'll remember this favor, the pockmarked woman said solemnly. Chu Kuangren glanced at her. The woman was tall, slender, and had exquisite facial features. If it were not for her pockmarked face, she would have been a beauty. Up to you. Chu Kuangren said calmly. It was just a matter of convenience, and he did not expect anything in return. All right. The pockmarked woman stood aside and did not say another word. Suddenly, she noticed that a few people were surrounded by wraiths and were in danger. She hesitated for a while, but she still joined the battle and went forward to help. Kind people are rare in this world of cultivation where the strong prey on the weak. Jingguan chuckled and said, just now, no one had helped the pockmarked woman, but she didn't resent the people of the world. Instead, she went to help other cultivators who were on the verge of death. Such a pure and innocent heart was truly rare. Do you know why it's rare? Because they die young. Jingguan laughed mockingly. No one knew whether he was laughing at them or the world of cultivation. Chu Kuangren was silent. Suddenly, Jingguan exclaimed as he looked at the cultivators who were surrounded by wraiths. The sword technique they're using is the Dragon Roar sword art. The cultivators who were surrounded swung their swords and unleashed their sword chi. The sword chi intertwined and formed the silhouette of a dragon, its roar echoing through the clouds. The Dragon Roar sword art was the ultimate technique of the Dragon Roar sword sect, which was also Jingguan's sect. What a coincidence! Do you want to help? Chu Kuangren asked. No need. This is a good opportunity to see how strong the young cultivators from Dragon Song Sword faction are, Jingguan said with a smile. Not long after, the cultivators of the Dragon Chant Sword sect and the pockmarked woman worked together to deal with the vengeful spirits that surrounded them. Not bad. Jingguan nodded slightly. He wasn't satisfied, but he wasn't disappointed either. Many thanks, fellow Taoist. The cultivators of the Dragon Chant Sword sect thanked the pockmarked woman. You're welcome. Very quickly, the rest of the people also dealt with the vengeful spirits and began to collect some of the scattered treasures. At that moment, the Saber King walked towards Chu Kuangren and saw the sword at his waist. He asked, Are you a swordsman? For the time being. Swordsman, your strength is not bad. Take out your sword. Let me see what your sword skills are like. The Saber King said indifferently as his aura surged out. Before Chu Kuangren could say anything, the pockmarked lady beside him spoke first. Now that we're at the Wailing Ghost Ridge, we should work together to deal with the vengeful spirits. Young master of the sword burial sea, please reconsider. Upon hearing the pockmarked lady's words, the Saber King's eyes darkened and he said coldly, Oh, so you're telling me what to do now? The pockmarked lady frowned. I don't mean that. Then scram. The Saber King snorted. The cultivators of the Dragon Chant Sword sect also walked up and said, This Taoist is very strong. It's normal for the Saber King to be excited, but we're at the Wailing Ghost Ridge now. Please look at the bigger picture. Dragon Chant Sword sect, if your elder senior brother was here, I might consider it. But today, I'm going to defeat this person. If you want to stop me, I don't mind killing you first. The Saber King said coldly. The people of the Dragon Chant Sword sect did not expect the Saber King to be so strong. Rumor had it that the Saber King enjoyed defeating swordsmen, especially the stronger ones. After witnessing Chu Kuangren's strength when he saved the pockmarked lady, he knew that Chu Kuangren was definitely a worthy opponent. Beside him, Hui Fa was using the Buddha statue to collect vengeful chi. The Buddha statue was gradually dyed in a layer of blood. He glanced at Chu Kuangren but did not intend to stop him. He wanted to see how strong this mysterious person was and whether he was a threat to him. Flaming Deity Xiao was happy to see this happen too. He did not want to get into a fight with Chu Kuangren, but he would be happy if someone else fought Chu Kuangren. It would be even better if he could defeat Chu Kuangren. At that moment, Chu Kuangren could not help but chuckle. He looked at the Saber King and said, "You want me to use my sword, but I'm afraid you don't have the right to." The crowd was in an uproar when they heard that. This person dared to challenge the Saber King? Did he have a death wish? This time he's dead meat. Yes, the Saber King only wanted to defeat him to improve his record of defeating all the swordsmen in the world. But now that he dared to challenge the Saber King will definitely kill him. This guy is so stupid. As expected, the Saber King's eyes narrowed when he heard Chu Kuangren's words, and a cold, murderous intent shot out from his eyes. "You're asking for it?" The saber on the Saber King's back was already trembling. The domineering aura made the crowd feel extremely heavy. When the pockmarked lady saw the Saber King's stubbornness, she gritted her teeth and said, "I'm Qin Guan's daughter. This Taoist here has saved my life. Saber King, as long as I'm here, you're not allowed to attack." The crowd was stunned when they heard the pockmarked lady's words. Then they burst into laughter. "Ha, did I hear it wrong? This pockmarked lady said she's Qin Guan's daughter. She must be out of her mind. Qin Guan is one of the 7 crowns, one of the most powerful immortals in the Green Orchid immortal realm. How dare she say she's his daughter? This is too funny. I can't take it anymore, this is too funny. I heard that Qin Guan's daughter is an outstanding beauty with jade-like bones and smooth skin. How dare an ugly freak like her call herself Qin Guan's daughter? She should take a mirror and look at herself." Facing everyone's mockery, the pockmarked lady took out a handkerchief and a water bottle and wiped her face. The black pockmarks on her face were wiped away. The pockmarked lady revealed her original face. It was a delicate face with beautiful eyebrows, a high nose, and smooth skin. Compared to her appearance just now, she was a completely different person. Everyone was dumbfounded and couldn't help but stare with their mouths agape. "Oh my God, she's actually this beautiful." Then, the pockmarked lady took out a jade token. On top of it, the word Qin was engraved. As soon as the jade token was taken out, the air was filled with the sound of a zither. "This is my Jiao Shao Huan Pei Manor's jade token. It's enough to prove that I am Qin Guan's daughter," the lady said. Everyone looked at the jade token and listened to the zither music. Suddenly they felt regretful. Damn, this woman was really Qin Guan's daughter. They actually missed a great opportunity to befriend Qin Guan and save the beauty. Thinking about this, some people's intestines turned green with regret. Even the Saber King could not help but feel a little annoyed. If he had made a move just now, he might have been able to capture the heart of this peerless beauty. Why did he have to go against her for Chu Kuangren? Chapter 952. The original pockmarked and ugly person had suddenly turned into a peerless beauty, and she was even the Guqin Crown's lady. This dramatic scene left everyone dumbfounded. Many of them were annoyed. Even the Saber King himself was among them. Chu Kuangren was also a little surprised. He did not expect the person he had randomly saved to have such a background. The sword crown behind Chu Kuangren seemed to have thought of something as he looked at the Guqin Crown's lady and said, "She does look a little like her." As the former sword crown, he had naturally seen the Guqin Crown before. Compared to the enmity between him and the sword crown, his friendship with the Guqin Crown was not shallow. "Saber King, as the Guqin Crown's lady, I forbid you to harm this Taoist friend," the Guqin Crown's lady, Xue Qinxin, said. Seeing her determined look, the crowd was even more annoyed. They looked at Chu Kuangren with envy and jealousy. This kid had made a fortune by saving the Guqin Crown's lady. Moreover, the Guqin Crown's lady did not seem to have much experience in the world. If he had some tricks up his sleeve, he might have been able to win her heart. If that happened, he would have reached the heavens in a single bound. The more the crowd thought about it, the more envious and frustrated they became. Why did they not make a move just now? They had given up such a great opportunity just like that. How hateful. Chu Kuangren did not feel anything. The Guqin Crown's lady was indeed amazing in the eyes of others, but the Sword Crown, who was on par with the Guqin Crown, was now his follower. Looking at it that way, the Guqin Crown's lady was nothing. Saber King, let's postpone the challenge for now. At that moment, Hui Fa walked over and said. It was not that he wanted to befriend the Guqin Crown's lady like the others, but he felt that they still had to explore the Wailing Ghost Ridge. If they got entangled with Chu Kuangren for too long, it would delay his plan. Kid, consider yourself lucky. The Saber King took a deep breath and retracted his aura. The Sword Crown behind Chu Kuangren chuckled and shook his head. Ignorant Junior, you're the one who got lucky and survived. Master, why didn't you make a move? Then, the Sword Crown asked Chu Kuangren curiously. Because there's something more interesting. A Saber King is just an ant. I can crush him anytime I want, but it wouldn't be good if I startled him. Chu Kuangren looked at Bian Hui Fa and the others at the front and smiled. Hearing this, Jian Guan fell into deep thought. Everyone continued moving forward. However, due to the appearance of Xue Qinxin, the daughter of the Guqin Crown, there were some changes in the group, and many people began to fawn over her. Miss Xue, I have a few elixirs that can replenish Emperor's Qi. You must have used up a lot of Emperor's Qi just now. Do you need to use them? Miss Xue, this is a fragment of an immortal artifact. It can be used to extract immortal metal. Wait here. I will go get it for you. Be careful, Miss Xue. Leave this vengeful spirit to me. Similar situations kept happening. Some of the female cultivators curled their lips in disdain. Xue Qinxin, of course, knew why these people were suddenly being nice to her. Therefore, she politely declined them one by one. She looked at Chu Kuangren, who was not far away, with a curious look in her eyes. Ever since she revealed her identity, Chu Kuangren had not paid any attention to her other than thanking her in the beginning. When she was in disguise, he was like this. Now that she had removed her disguise, he was still acting the same way. It was as if the pockmarked woman and the daughter of the Guqin Crown were no different to him. Xue Qinxin took the initiative to walk towards Chu Kuangren. Brother, my name is Xue Qinxin. You've saved me, but I still don't know your name. My surname is Chu. He did not say his full name. Hello, Brother Chu. Not far away, a few cultivators snorted. One of them said condescendingly, Who would know who you are if you only say, Chu? Don't think we don't know that you're pretending to be cold and aloof here to attract Miss Xue's attention, right? I've seen this kind of trick many times. That's right. Don't be fooled by him, Miss Xue. I'm afraid he's up to no good. These people had long regarded Chu Kuangren as their rival in wooing Xue Qinxin, and they were trying their best to belittle him. Not far away, the Vulcan howl broke out in cold sweat when he heard that. These suicidal people are jumping on the edge of life and death. He subconsciously distanced himself from these cultivators. Shut up, all of you! Xue Qinxin yelled coldly. Although the few cultivators were a little more restrained after hearing her yell, their hatred for Chu Kuangren grew even more. Their eyes flashed with hatred. One of them sneaked up behind Chu Kuangren and raised his hand, and a black ray of light shot towards him. It was a black, cone-shaped hidden weapon. It was so powerful that it could easily kill an ordinary Sky Dao master. Clang! However, the black cone stopped 3 inches away from Chu Kuangren, unable to get any closer to him. The cultivator who used the hidden weapon could not help but be shocked. How's this possible? The next moment, the cone-concealed weapon flew out at an even faster speed, directly penetrating the cultivator's head, killing him in an instant. How foolish! Chu Kuangren channeled his mind power, and a few spiritual energy blades condensed and instantly locked onto the few cultivators. Whoosh, 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 the spiritual energy blades pierced through the air. The few cultivators still wanted to resist, but they were blasted into pieces by the hundreds of spiritual energy blades within a breath's time. See, this is the only way to shut them up. Chu Kuangren looked at Xue Qinxin and said. Xue Qinxin could not help but shudder. However, she did not question or blame Chu Kuangren. Instead, she lamented, Those who humiliate others will always be humiliated, and those who kill will always be killed. These people brought this upon themselves. Chu Kuangren smirked. Looks like it's not the Saint Mother after all. Saint Mother? What do you mean? Nothing. Xue Qinxin did not ask any further. Serves them right for provoking that guy. TSK, he's still as decisive as ever. Vulcan Xiao, who was not far away, marveled. As for the others, they did not dare to provoke Chu Kuangren after witnessing his methods. Instead, they stayed away from him. Not long after, the group had entered the depths of the Wailing Ghost Ridge. At that moment, a roar echoed throughout the forest, and waves of resentment surged like a tidal wave, shaking the heavens and earth. Everyone's gaze froze. What a powerful resentment chi. I'm afraid this vengeful spirit won't be easy to deal with. Not far away, a vengeful spirit the size of a small hill rushed out of the forest on all fours like a wild beast. This vengeful spirit had a strange appearance. It had a human face, but its limbs were extremely long. It crawled on the ground like a giant spider. Hui Fei's eyes lit up when he saw this vengeful spirit. Everyone, this vengeful spirit is the strongest vengeful spirit in the Wailing Ghost Ridge. As long as we kill it, the treasures in the Wailing Ghost Ridge will be ours to take. As he spoke, he made the first move. Waves of golden Buddhist light bloomed, and then, a golden Buddhist palm descended from the sky and smashed towards the vengeful spirit. When the other immortal seeds saw that, they immediately made their moves. In an instant, a battle broke out. Chu Kuangren watched from the side and chuckled. No matter how I look at it, it looks like they're forming a team. Chapter 953. The strongest vengeful spirit of the Crying Ghost Ridge had appeared. With Hui Fa and the Saber Monarch leading the way, the celestial seed prodigies immediately launched their attacks. All sorts of powerful celestial techniques were blasted out. The vengeful spirit roared and waved its limbs, creating a violent storm. A casual attack was comparable to the power of the heavenly Tao Lord, causing the prodigy's celestial seeds to be damaged one after another. Tyrant Saber Technique, World Domination. The Saber Monarch roared. The saber behind him was suddenly unsheathed with a clang. The black saber body emitted a dark glow. As the saber slashed out, a boundlessly domineering giant saber shadow slashed down from the sky. Amid the rumble, the void of the celestial realm was almost torn apart. The giant saber's might caused half of the Crying Ghost Ridge to shake violently. Amit Ba! A Buddhist chant suddenly rang out. The little sage monk Hui Fa sat in the void. Large amounts of Buddhist light circulated around his body, making him look extremely holy and peaceful. Great Nirvana Palm. He let out a soft shout and slowly raised his palm. Instantly, a giant Buddhist light hand reached out from the clouds. With a power that could shake the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers, it slammed toward the vengeful spirit. The other celestial seed prodigies also made their moves. Bone-corroding poisonous fire. Fire deity Xiao shouted. Large amounts of black flames spewed out of his body and turned into a giant fireball that smashed out like a meteor. Dragon Chant Sword Technique, Soaring Dragon. The celestial seed of the Dragon Chant Sword sect activated the sword aura. Instantly, rays of sword aura intertwined to form dragon shadows that whizzed out. Several extremely powerful energies comparable to that of a hollow immortal landed on the vengeful spirit's body, causing a series of loud explosions. After a scream, the vengeful spirit lay on the ground. Its body gradually disintegrated into scarlet vengeful aura and dissipated. We did it! We finally did it! Everyone was overjoyed. Hui Fa also smiled. He took out the Buddha statue from before and tossed it into the air, absorbing all the vengeful aura. As large amounts of vengeful aura were absorbed, the Buddha statue was now completely scarlet and emanated a blood-colored Buddhist light. It was extremely eerie. Just the last step. Hui Fa said with a smile. Beside him, the Saber Monarch frowned. This Buddha statue looks a little eerie. And Hui Fa, what last step? This Buddha statue is called the Resentful Buddha. This is an immortal artifact. However, in order to activate this item, a large amount of resentment and the blood essence of living beings is required, Hui Fa said. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. That wasn't what Hui Fa said previously. Little holy monk, you just said that you were going to take this resentment back to purify it. Why did it become the activation of an immortal artifact now? That's because I lied to you. Hui Fa said indifferently. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. In the next instant, the blood-colored Buddha statue suddenly shone with Buddha light, enveloping everything within a radius of 1,000 miles. The celestial seed prodigies were shocked. Not good. It's a trap. They wanted to retreat, but it was already too late. The blood-colored Buddhist light completely enveloped them, forming a blood-colored barrier. Everyone was trapped in the barrier. Little holy monk, what are you trying to do? Hui Fa quickly released the barrier. Senior brother, what are you doing? Everyone looked angrily at Hui Fa. Even the monks of the Golden Mountain Temple revealed a puzzled look. Hui Fa put his palms together and smiled faintly. Everyone, in order to complete this little monk's path to Buddhahood, I have no choice but to ask all of you to die. The Saber King's face darkened. You want to use our blood essence to activate this resentful Buddha. This is the real reason why you asked me to lead you and bring people to this crying ghost ridge to encircle the resentful spirit. That's right. Hui Fa nodded slightly. You have such a vicious heart. Hui Fa, as the little holy monk of the Golden Mountain Temple, how can you use such evil means? That's right, Hui Fa, you better let us go quickly. Everyone cursed loudly. As an immortal orthodoxy in the Qinglan immortal world and a Buddhist sacred land, the Golden Mountain Temple had always been highly respected. The holy monks inside were all compassionate and pitied the state of the universe. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that the little holy monk Hui Fa would do such a thing today. For his own selfishness, he wanted to use their blood essence to activate the immortal artifact, the resentful Buddha. How was this the little holy monk? This was clearly the evil monk. Amitabha, there is no turning back on the path of the resentful Buddha. Everyone, don't worry, I won't let you die too painfully. Hui Fa chanted the name of Buddha and said with a compassionate tone. Following that, he raised his hand and blasted out a palm strike. A large amount of Buddhist light enveloped the few Golden Mountain Temple cultivators in front of him. With a loud bang, these people were blasted into a bloody mist on the spot. Everyone was dumbfounded. Never would they have imagined that the little sage monk would actually kill a fellow cultivator like this. He killed him without any hesitation. The bloody mist gathered towards the resentful Buddha. After absorbing the blood essence, the resentful Buddha's blood-colored Buddhist light became even more demonic. Everyone even saw the resentful Buddha's eyebrows twitch as if it had come to life. This made everyone's hearts palpitate. Damn it! Destroy this resentful Buddha first, the Saber King said. He gripped the saber in his hand tightly and displayed the immortal technique hegemonic saber technique. A domineering giant saber shadow slashed towards the resentful Buddha. However, Hui Fa stood up and blocked it. He raised his hand and a Buddhist light shot out, easily blocking the shadow of the knife. Seeing this, the Saber King's expression changed. How is this possible? He did not believe it and slashed again. Hegemonic saber technique, dominating the 8 desolate lands. The saber shadow slashed down with boundless domineering power that could break the stars. It's useless, Hui Fa said coldly. The power of the Emperor Aura and Buddhist light on his body surged. With a palm strike, a giant Buddhist light palm blocked the saber shadow. Throughout the entire process, he did not even take half a step back. On the other hand, the Saber King was forced back dozens of feet. Your Emperor Aura. The Saber King thought of something and his face revealed a trace of fear. You guessed correctly. I am already on the path of immortal ascension and have passed the first of the 3 calamities and 9 tribulations. My Emperor Aura has been tempered by the lightning tribulation. How can you compare to me? Hui Fa said coldly, his eyes filled with pride. How can this be? The Saber King's expression kept changing. The The 3 calamities and 9 tribulations were the necessary stages of immortal ascension. Cultivators who started on this path of immortal ascension had already started to transform into immortals. Their strength was not something that cultivators who had not started on the path of immortal ascension could compare to. Let's go! The Saber King knew that he was no match for Hui Fa and did not want to fight him to the death. His figure flashed and he flew into the distance. Where can you go in my bounded domain? Hui Fa chuckled. Suddenly, a powerful wave of energy exploded from the Saber King's body. There was a faint glow circulating around his body. Hui Fa's eyes narrowed. This is the blood of an immortal? The Saber King was the young master of the Sea of Swords Burial and the son of Daoguan. He had the blood of an immortal. This blood of an immortal was reflected in his cultivation talent. It was also the reason why he could become one of the 12 kings of celestial seeds. Not only that, but once he activated the blood of an immortal, his strength would increase rapidly. Using the blood of an immortal would consume one's potential. Therefore, he would not use it unless he was in a critical situation. Relying on the power of the blood of an immortal, the Saber King tore a small hole in the bloody bounded domain and charged out. Hui Fa's expression did not look good, but he looked at the other celestial seeds. Amitba. Everyone, please die. Chapter 954. Inside the resentful Buddha enchantment, Hui Fa was mercilessly slaughtering the remaining sky prides and celestial seeds. With his strength, not many sky prides at the Wailing Ghost Ridge could fight him, not even the celestial seed giants. If this goes on, we'll all die. This is the Golden Mountain Temple's little sage monk? This is the nefarious monk. The Lady of the Guqin Crown, Xianxia, was sent flying by the Buddhist light. She came before Chu Kuangren and said, "Brother Chu, follow me. I'll activate my celestial bloodline power and we'll break through this enchantment together." She was the Lady of the Guqin Crown and had the same celestial bloodline as the Saber King. Chu Kuangren glanced at her but did not say anything. By then, Hui Fa had already arrived before them. When he mentioned Xianxia's words, he smiled and said, "You won't have that chance." He gently raised his hand, and a giant golden palm descended from the sky. Wherever it passed, the void trembled. Xianxia was locked on by this power, and her face turned pale. At this distance, she could not activate her celestial bloodline power at all. Just as the Lady of the Guqin Crown was about to fall, a sword ray suddenly swept past her and sliced the giant golden palm in half. Hui Fa's expression changed as he was sent flying dozens of feet away by the sword Qi. This sword Qi, a celestial seed ruler. Hui Fa looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. "You're a little sage monk, yet you chose to walk on this unorthodox path instead of the Buddhist path. Do you have something wrong with your brain?" Chu Kuangren said as he slowly walked out. The crowd could not help but look hopeful when they saw him. This person could force Hui Fa to retreat with a single sword strike. He must be a celestial seed ruler. Great, we're saved. No, even if he's a celestial seed ruler, Hui Fa is already on the immortal ascension path. Can this person be his match? Those with celestial seeds did not have much hope. The others were also very anxious when they heard that. After all, cultivators on the immortal ascension path were already considered half-immortals. You really are something, but unfortunately, I'm already a half-immortal. You're no match for me. Hui Fa looked at Chu Kuangren and said confidently. He took a step forward. The powerful Emperor's Qi and origin energy that had been tempered by the lightning tribulation whistled out from his body, fusing with the Buddhist light. His power skyrocketed, making him seem like a mighty and dignified Buddha. Nirvana palm. Hui Fa struck out with his palm and a huge golden Buddha palm descended from the sky. Its power was even stronger than before. Stupid. Chu Kuangren remained calm as the origin energy within his body surged out one after another and surrounded his body with a dazzling celestial radiance. The descendant's self-sword at his waist was unsheathed with a clang. With a slash of the sword Qi that was supported by many strands of source energy slashed through the air. Wherever it passed, purple lotuses bloomed, and the sharp chi was hard to block. When the people of the Dragon Chant Sword sect saw this, they were extremely shocked. This is the Thousand Lotus Sword Will. Sword Crown's Thousand Lotus Sword Essence, how did he learn it? The others were also extremely shocked. Meanwhile, the Buddha's palm and the sword chi had already collided. The two forces collided, causing the entire space to tremble violently. However, the sword chi cut open the giant golden palm with irresistible force. Hui Fa was once again blasted away. How is this possible? How do you have such powerful strength? Have you also embarked on the immortal ascension path? No, that's not right. Your body doesn't have the aura of being cleansed by the lightning tribulation. I don't think you've embarked on the immortal ascension path. But how do you have such a terrifying origin energy? Moreover, your attributes are so mixed. What's going on? Hui Fa was a little dumbfounded as he looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. Chu Kuangren could not help but chuckle when he heard that. Embarking on the immortal ascension path? He had not embarked on the immortal ascension path. He had not even comprehended his own origin energy, so how could he embark on the immortal ascension path? Creating one's own origin energy, this was countless times more difficult than becoming an immortal. In the eyes of others, a cultivator who had not embarked on the immortal ascension path was far inferior to a cultivator who had already embarked on the immortal ascension path. However, that was only the opinion of others, the perception of others. Chu Kuangren's forte was to break people's perceptions. Chu Kuangren had yet to create his own origin energy, but he could still use other origin energies such as the fire origin, frost origin, sword origin, devouring origin, physical origin, moonlight origin. With so many origin energies added together, how could he be weaker than a half-immortal? Hui Fa, do you think you can look down on the younger generation just because you've embarked on the immortal ascension path? Unfortunately, you've miscalculated an anomaly. Behind Chu Kuangren, Sword Crown said calmly. Even as an immortal, Sword Crown still could not see through Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren had clearly not embarked on the immortal ascension path, yet his combat strength was more terrifying than a half-immortal's. Moreover, he possessed so many origin energies. This was simply unimaginable. D***, the Buddha Resentment Avatar. At that moment, Hui Fa took a step forward and rays of Buddhist light radiated from his body. These Buddhist lights were dyed in a blood-red color. The blood-red Buddhist light, the Buddhist light manifested and turned into a blood-colored Buddha Dharma form. Behind Chu Kuangren, the crown swordsman had a strange look in his eyes when he saw that. I was wondering why that Buddha statue looked so familiar. So it's the inheritance of the demonic Buddha sect from a long time ago. TSK, interesting. As a lesser sage monk of the Golden Hill Temple, he has obtained the inheritance of the demonic Buddha sect. The evil Buddha sect was a celestial orthodoxy from a long time ago. However, due to its way of doing things being too treacherous, it was destroyed by the alliance of a few orthodoxies at that time, and the one who led the charge was the first abbot of the Golden Mountain Temple. Now, the little sage monk of the Golden Mountain Temple had obtained the evil Buddha sect's inheritance. It had to be said that fate made fools of people. Hui Fa activated the celestial techniques of the evil Buddha sect and formed the Hate Buddha Dharma. The Hate Buddha statue that was absorbing the blood essence of living beings trembled slightly and flew towards Hui Fa. It actually merged with the Dharma behind him. An immortal artifact and an immortal technique combined. Hui Fa's battle prowess had actually increased by another level. You have the Thousand Lotus Sword intent, and you have the aura of an outsider. If I'm not mistaken, you must be the famous Chu Kuangren. Hui Fa said coldly. Exactly. Chu Kuangren did not try to hide anymore. The spiritual light on his face dissipated, and suddenly, a handsome face that could make even the sun and moon lose their luster appeared in front of everyone. So his name is Chu Kuangren? Xue Qinxin stared at Chu Kuangren's face in a daze. No one knew what she was thinking about. The others also started to discuss among themselves. Chu Kuangren, the outsider who killed a few sacred city enforcers and the Divine Flame sect's bachelor sage. So it's him. This person's strength is indeed worthy of his reputation. The blood-colored Buddhist light on Hui Fei's body circulated, and his originally handsome face became a little more demonic. Outsider, I admit that you're indeed very strong. However, now that I've combined my celestial techniques and immortal weapons, I'd like to see what you're going to use to fight me. Then, the hate Buddha Dharma behind him moved. With its eyes wide open, it formed a lotus finger with its right hand and attacked Chu Kuangren. The blood-colored Buddhist light was like a flood that surged towards Chu Kuangren. In the face of such power, Chu Kuangren stood still. The origin energy around him circulated, and the two Taoist seals also appeared. With the fusion of the heavenly Tao's energy, he unleashed another sword attack. A majestic sword ray erupted, and lotuses bloomed in the void wherever it passed. Amidst the loud bang, the blood-colored Buddhist light slashed apart like a torrent and landed on the hate Buddha Dharma, tearing it apart. The hate Buddha Dharma then separated itself from the Dharma and flew out. What? Hui Fei's expression changed drastically. He did not even have time to retrieve the hate Buddha Dharma before his figure turned into a blood-colored ray of light and flew out. Hey, trying to escape? Jian Guan chuckled and tried to stop him. Let him go. Chu Kuangren said, this person has the wicked Buddha sect's inheritance and some secrets. It's a pity to kill him now. I'm still looking forward to the fun he'll bring me. Chapter 955. Casting a long line to catch a big fish. Jingguan looked at Chu Kuangren and shook his head. He then ignored him. Then, Chu Kuangren used his mind power to pick up the blood-colored Buddha statue. He sensed the resentment chi on it and smirked. It's a decent immortal weapon, but it's not a complete one. Chu Kuangren analyzed it with Xiao AI. I have heard of it before as well. In the past, the evil Buddha sect possessed a sect-guarding immortal weapon known as the 3 heads and 6 arms resentful Buddha. However, during the war against the evil Buddha sect, the resentful Buddha was broken into 3 parts. This resentful Buddha should be one of them, Jianguan said. He had lived for a long time, so he knew a lot of things. As for the remaining 2 parts, I'll let Hui Fei help us find them. Chu Kuangren kept the resentful Buddha and smiled. Then he looked at the others. Thank you for your help, Brother Chu. The Dragon Song Sword sect cultivators gathered around and thanked him. Chu Kuangren nodded and said, it's just that this person offended me. Saving you guys was just a matter of convenience. By the way, Brother Chu, where did you learn the 1,000 Lotus Sword intent from? The leader of the sword sect Immortal Seeds asked. Chu Kuangren glanced at Jingguan. I was the one who gave you the 1,000 Lotus Sword intent, Jingguan said. Then, a sword appeared in his hand. It was a sword with a hilt in the shape of a green lotus. Taoist patterns intertwined on it, and it shone brightly as it emanated a powerful fluctuation. When they saw that sword, the pupils of everyone from Sword Sect constricted as they looked at the sword crown in shock. Green Lotus Celestial Sword. It's good that you know. There's no need to announce it, Jingguan said. The Dragon Song Sword Sect cultivators nodded, but they were still shocked. The person in front of them was a legendary figure. Yet this person was now with Chu Kuangren. Like, a follower? Oh God. They did not know how to describe their shock. Chu Kuangren ignored the Dragon Song Sword Sect cultivators. He looked at a figure not far away and disappeared. Vulcan Howl wanted to leave without anyone noticing, but suddenly, a figure appeared in front of him. It was Chu Kuangren. Where do you want to go? Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Chu Kuangren, what do you want? The Divine Flame Church of Light has repeatedly offended me. Tell me, what can I do about it? Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed a palm attack towards the other party. Boom! The terrifying phoenix fire immediately whistled out. Vulcan Zhao's expression changed drastically as he activated the divine flame on his body. Bone-corroding poisonous flame. The black flames collided with the phoenix flames, but they were easily devoured by the phoenix flames in the next instant. As for the fire god's howl, it was burnt to ashes by the phoenix fire without being able to fight back, leaving behind only a black fire seed. It was the bone-corroding poison flame spark. Heh, looks like I didn't let you go for nothing back then. You've brought me another type of divine fire, which I can use as a resource for my phoenix fire. Chu Kuangren chuckled. He then wrapped his phoenix fire around the bone-corroding poisonous flame and absorbed it into his body. Chu Kuangren glanced at the wailing ghost ridge and pondered for a while. Then he narrowed his eyes and shouted coldly, "Everyone, I'll give you 2 hours to leave Crying Ghost Ridge." As soon as he finished speaking, a majestic pressure instantly spread out. Everyone's expression changed. What does he mean? Does he plan to monopolize the treasures of the Wailing Ghost Ridge? That's too much. Even if he defeated Hui Fa and saved us, he's still too much. He's just an outsider after all. Everyone discussed among themselves, somewhat dissatisfied. If you don't leave, you'll die. Chu Kuangren's cold voice rang out again. Everyone looked at each other and then left helplessly. They were no match for Chu Kuangren now. If he wanted to kill them, it would be a piece of cake. Senior, we'll take our leave first. The Dragonsong Sword Sects people said to Jingguan. All right. Xue Qinxin walked towards Chu Kuangren and hesitated for a while before she took out a jade pendant. This is a token from the 9 Firmament Ring Manor. You've saved me twice. If you're free in the future, come to the 9 Firmament Ring Manor. I'll repay you well. The 9 Firmament Ring Manor was one of the immortal orthodoxies. It was the orthodoxy that specialized in musical Tao in the Green Orchid Immortal Realm. Chu Kuangren did not reject Xue Qinxin's kindness and accepted the token. I'll pay you a visit if I pass by. I'll wait for you then. A smile appeared on Xue Qinxin's face before she left. After the cultivators left, Chu Kuangren looked at Lan Yu and the others and said, I'm going to go into closed-door meditation here for a while. There are many treasures here, so you guys should train here. Jingguan, I'll leave them to your care. The latter part of his sentence was directed at Jingguan. Jingguan nodded. Don't worry, master. With me around, I won't let anything happen to them. Chu Kuangren was relieved. After all, Jingguan's strength was almost fully recovered. Even if an immortal were to come, he would still be killed. After that, Chu Kuangren opened up a cave in the Wailing Ghost Ridge and turned it into his closed-door meditation. There were 2 main things he had to do during this closed-door meditation. The first was to refine the bone-corroding poisonous flame and merge it with the phoenix fire. The second was to cultivate the Jade Lake Immortal Scripture. The first thing is to absorb the bone-corroding poisonous flame. A black flame appeared on Chu Kuangren's palm. This divine flame is a poisonous flame. Perhaps I can learn the origin of poison from it. A blood-red ray of light flashed past. Hui Fa came to a mountain peak with a terrible expression. D****. I didn't expect Chu Kuangren to be this strong. Even the unity technique is no match for him. He clearly hasn't stepped onto the immortal ascension path, so how does he have such terrifying combat strength? Hui Fa was puzzled. Now that the resentful Buddha has fallen into his hands, it won't be easy to take it back. I must find the other 2 resentful Buddhas. Only then will I have a chance to fight him. Fortunately, according to the records, the other 2 resentful Buddhas have fallen into the immortal ancient battlefield. I need to find them as soon as possible and activate them. Hui Fa took a deep breath and reorganized himself. Suddenly, he heard a conversation coming from not far away. Have you heard? The divine flame Ming cult's first god's disciple has obtained another powerful divine flame. His combat strength is so strong that even a false immortal can't compete with him. I think he's about to step onto the immortal ascension path. It's not just him. Even the Sage City Lord's Jingguan's direct disciple, Wu Wuji, is very powerful too. He killed 3 celestial seed cultivators with a single strike of his spear. Even I am terrified by his combat strength. Hui Fa's eyes lit up when he heard these conversations. Even if I obtain the other 2 resentful Buddhas, I might not be a match for Chu Kuangren. I need to join forces with others. Rumor has it that this person has killed the divine flame Ming cult's disciple and the Sage City Lord. Perhaps I can find them to cooperate with. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was feasible. Chu Kuangren, no matter how strong you are, you're just one person. You're just an outsider. How are you going to compete with us, the native celestial seed kings? Your identity as an outsider will be the reason for your defeat. Chapter 956. Inside the Wailing Ghost Ridge. Chu Kuangren had used his phoenix fire to devour the bone-corroding poisonous flame, turning it into his phoenix fire's food. Not only that, but he had also gained insight into the origin of poison through the bone-corroding poisonous flame. Now, he had a total of 9 origin energies in his body. 9 strands of origin energy. Furthermore, they were origin energy of 9 different attributes. If news of this were to spread, it would be enough to scare a large number of people to death. 9 origin energies is still not enough. Before I create my own origin energies, I need to control more origin energies. Only then can I continue to suppress those half-immortals who have embarked on the immortal ascension path, or even immortals. He could already suppress half-immortals before. That gave him a bold idea. If he could control more origin energies, would he be able to fight against immortals? Perhaps I can give it a try. But before that, I need to gain insight into the Jade Lake Immortal Scripture. Chu Kuangren took out the green phoenix mirror. After spending some time with Qing Feng, he had fully mastered her green phoenix physique. Although he had not mastered the eye of the green phoenix, he could still easily use the Emperor's Qi that was activated by the green phoenix physique. With a thought, he activated the green phoenix physique and channeled the Emperor's Qi into the green phoenix mirror. In an instant, the green phoenix mirror glowed and countless mysterious runes appeared. It was an immortal scripture. The Jade Lake Immortal Scripture. Chu Kuangren immediately felt several surges of mysterious origin energies when he first saw the immortal scripture. He was shocked. The Jade Lake Immortal Scripture contained more than one type of origin energies. Chu Kuangren dared not delay and quickly immersed himself in it. This time, the time he spent on the immortal scripture was far beyond his imagination. A year later, somewhere in the Wailing Ghost Ridge, a powerful wave of light energy erupted. Lan Yu waved the scepter in her hand and blasted a vengeful spirit into smithereens. After a year of training, she had improved a lot. In addition to the remnant immortal pill that Chu Kuangren gave her before he went into closed-door meditation, she was now a great Taoist master. Lan Yu frowned as she looked at the vengeful spirit that had been blasted to smithereens. She seemed to be dissatisfied with her own power. It's just an ordinary vengeful spirit of a great Tao Lord, yet I had to spend so much time on it. If it was young master, you wouldn't even need to do anything. Just a single thought would be enough to kill him 1,000 times. The current me is too weak. I'm not even a celestial seed giant. How am I supposed to follow young master? Lan Yu took a deep breath and felt a little annoyed. Not far away, Jian Guan slowly walked over and said, "Not everyone is as talented as my lord." Lan Yu, you are not bad among the celestial seeds. Don't be too stubborn. He did not know how to comfort Lan Yu. Not everyone could be as talented as Chu Kuangren. It was not that some people did not work hard, but their achievements were determined by their innate conditions. Lan Yu, on the other hand, was a fairy seed that was limited by his innate conditions. He did not have an immortal physique, nor did he have an immortal bloodline. Although his level of comprehension was not weaker than any other immortal seeds, it was not as abnormal as Chu Kuangren's. The only thing that stood out was perseverance. However, it was difficult to stand out just by relying on perseverance. Is this the only thing I can do? Lan Yu said unwillingly. Her breathing was a little chaotic. Opportunity. Jian Guan took a deep breath. Opportunity. If you have enough opportunities, you might be able to soar to the sky. In the immortal realm, there was no lack of such examples. An ordinary cultivator suddenly became a dazzling sky-pride cultivator with some kind of opportunity, becoming the envy of others. However, such opportunities were too rare. It's an opportunity. Lan Yu murmured. The term opportunity was too vague. Who knew if it would happen in this lifetime? She seemed to have thought of something and looked into the distance. What's wrong? Jian Guan asked curiously. I don't know either. But lately, I've been having an inexplicable throbbing in my heart. It's as if there's an inexplicable calling from afar. Jian Guan was stunned. An inexplicable calling? Could it be that you're too eager for power, causing your mind to be restless? Jian Guan said in a roundabout way. Lan Yu rolled her eyes. Although I'm a little eager, I can tell if it's an illusion or not. She pointed in a direction in the distance. That calling is very real. It came from that direction a few days ago. Could it be that there's really an opportunity calling for you? Jian Guan asked with a strange expression. Did this fortuitous encounter come so easily? Wasn't her luck a little too good? A child of fortune? At this time, Qing Feng and the little fox also walked over. They were carrying a pile of elixirs and broken immortal weapons. There were many treasures in the Crying Ghost Ridge. Some places had a large number of natural seals, making it difficult to enter. However, this was not a problem for the little fox. Her abilities allowed her to come and go as she pleased. This year, she was the one who obtained the most treasures. What are you two talking about? About opportunity. Lan Yu told him what she had sensed. Sometimes, when a cultivator has a sudden urge, they can sense things happening in the dark. Perhaps there really is a great opportunity waiting for Lan Yu. It's just that the young master hasn't come out yet. Should we wait a little longer? Qing Feng said. Opportunities are fleeting. How can we wait? Lan Yu, I'll go with you. The little fox said eagerly. Lan Yu hesitated. At this moment, the cave that Chu Kuangren was in suddenly shook violently. A terrifyingly powerful emperor's qi swept out. The emperor's qi stunned Jinguan. What a pure emperor's qi! The young master hasn't gone through the 3 disasters and 9 tribulations, but how can his emperor's qi be so terrifying? What did he do? Even Jinguan was puzzled. It's the young master. The young master has come out. Lan Yu and the other ladies were overjoyed. At this moment, a few more powerful origin energies erupted in the cave. They were even more terrifying than the emperor's qi. An origin that was filled with dense killing qi. An origin that was filled with killing intent. An origin that was filled with dense vitality. An origin that was filled with the origin of life. An origin that was filled with the intent of nirvana sent chills down one's spine. It was the origin of death. An origin that was illusory and difficult to comprehend. It was the origin of time and space. 4 different origin energies circulated, causing the entire area to shake violently. The Wailing Ghost Ridge's wraiths could not help but tremble. An origin that has never been seen before. Is this the new origin energy that the young master has comprehended? And this fluctuation is terrifying. Qing Feng said in shock. Then, a scene that shocked her even more appeared. Inside the cave, a peerless white-robed figure shrouded in divine radiance slowly walked out. Beside him was an ancient bronze mirror that floated in the air. The ancient mirror radiated with an infinite amount of power. The mirror's surface flashed as if it could break through the stars and mountains. Qing Feng was dumbfounded when she saw that ancient mirror. That's the Green Phoenix mirror. How's that possible? Wasn't the Green Phoenix mirror supposed to only be activated by the Green Phoenix? How could Chu Kuangren use it? Those surges of origin energy. Could it be that he has already comprehended the immortal scripture in the ancient mirror? Qing Feng gasped. That was the Jade Lake Immortal Scripture. The immortal scripture that was cultivated by the Queen Mother of the West. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.